but hold,
Wait,
hold
you
on,
think
hold on.
Raido beats Kisui? What?
Bro,
See,
Rado
this
and
is what
Zeno, put
this is
Rado
what
and
I'm
Zeno,
saying.
they beat Kispi for sure.
yeah, they're gonna kill Bate straight away, and
They
then like
slap
history,
they slap
boom,
Kispi.
Wait,
grinding.
First of
no,
all,
I'm not even
bro,
ready to say
this
that Zeno beats Bate.
Bro,
First of all,
this is
You're a hater. You're a hater.
no.
Rado is a
how?
See,
hater.
this is,
No way
but
the
this is why I'm
strongest man
saying
in the Conky
no.
army, a fucking
bro.
offensive
Oh
force,
man.
is not gonna beat Bate, who's like fucking tier nigga, tier 6.
But bro, this
This
is
Now.
why
nigga,
I say
he's with
this is why I
Arco
say
You
and
acting like Bate
Bananji
is
for
just some
smart
random
man.
dude. It's like
He's
he's
not.
the
He's not
strongest
a
person in
random dude,
Kisu's
but he's a
army.
this is
sub of a
crazy.
sub of a sub. Like he's not a
But
Yeah.
fucking
this
guy
is
that's gonna be
this is
leading
why I'm
army.
saying that you wanking Conky off
Oh,
because
y'all
you're
just sleeping
saying
on him.
no,
Being
bro.
like
Because
fucking.
we were talking about something that was actually happening in the manga, and then you just interjected Rido like why? Like we were talking about actual
That's my
manga
fault. That's
shit,
my fault.
and
That's my
then
fault.
yo Rido beats Kisui, man. Like what? Like
Because we
wait,
were talking
hold
about
up.
Kispi in the left, and I thought, no, who's
No,
beat
yeah, because we were
I know.
talking about
My bad. That's
Moten
true.
and Shin, and then you just interjected Rido. Here's nothing. What, what I'm saying is, if
That's true. You're right.
Shin couldn't save the left wing, then the war is over. Moten was the only one that could have saved the left wing. The only
I
one.
think Ohon could have come up with something, you know.
I
Like,
do as well.
Ohon does have better intel piece than Moten.
Fine. Fine. Like,
That was the most
okay,
begrudging fine I've ever
fine.
heard.
Cause like, cause like I don't even feel like arguing with it. Like for real.
That's a whole
Like,
nother can of worms, bro.
this nigga Moten, like this nigga Osen said that Moten is on the level to where he can interfere
Bro, but that
with
was
him and
everyone
Roboku.
though.
This is
Everyone
not.
that they had, like except for Kisui and Bate, except for the scrubs basically, and Kimo, like Gyoen, Bananji are there, Akko's there, Shin and Ohon are there as well, that can interfere. They were all causing
The main
issues
reason
between
Moten's
Roboku and
plan
Osen.
worked is because of Kisui's negligence. He forgot to account for Moten's army because he was so focused on dominating. And Moten was able to hide his army and shit and catch him off guard.
That's
Like
actually so ridiculous.
with Ohan, for example, him like making someone like Chogaryu, someone of his caliber, being like awe and like he's like just admiring him, like holy shit, this is so amazing. Like I just can't help but be more impressed by that.
Right.
You know what's so crazy,
but
Duncan? What you like?
what did it actually equivalent to? He quote unquote crippled Bananji's army, but them niggas was still effective as fuck because with a little help from Roboku, they broke through the fucking Ocean formation.
Okay, but even doing that is fucking great considering the condition they were in.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I get that. But I'm saying in the overall grand scheme of things, when the High Shin unit hit the Bananji army, they literally killed half of it. When they fought the Chogaryu army, they literally killed Chogaryu and took out his elite core. You know what I'm saying? When they fought Gyo-un, they like fought him to an even kill. It's like Uhon's the shit Uhon did was never permanent. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, he took out a bunch of Bananji's army, but since they got the home field advantage, they came back in a couple of days.
I mean, I could say the same thing. Like what the Haishin unit did to Bananji's army, it didn't stop them from attacking Osen after. It's not like they finished Bananji's army off.
It didn't finish them off, but if he had his full army, it damn sure made a big difference. Because a full Bananji army, or like more than half, like you say, because they was reduced to less than half. So if they had more than half of their forces, then yeah, my nigga, it would have made a difference. Because Ocean's HQ had what 5,000 people, right? Because wasn't we arguing about this earlier?
Yeah, but then
Banaji only had like 2,000 people. So if Banaji had 5,000, 6,000 people, that would have made a big difference versus Ocean's 5,000.
okay, but the reason they were able to do that, and this goes back to Akakin being able to stall Bananji, is because Ohan took out so many men that Akakin doing that was possible in the first place, which made it so Haishin unit had the chance to just fight Chogaryu only, and Bananji didn't have to be worried about.
No, because by time that was like the final day, and by time then the men that was crippled, it was literally stated by Bananji that the men that were crippled and injured in Uhon's attack are now rested and back to fight.
Yeah, but he didn't just only cripple them; he killed a bunch of people.
But like it was, what I'm saying is like Uhon's like feats weren't permanent to where like when Shin took out Chogaryu, Shin
He
took
killed
out
fucking
Chogaryu
Gyoen
and
though,
his
like
core.
come on, that's permanent.
No, that's cool too. But like he killed Gyo. Shin killed Gakurai, Chogaryu, took out half of Chogaryu's army, took out half of Banaji's army, then killed Hoken. This nigga Moten held down the left wing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
Oh, Moten stalled people, amazing.
Bro,
No,
Motan
that my nigga,
should have
that
beat
kept
Kisui, like
that kept them in the
schooling
That's
war.
them.
impressive. That's a dumb player.
Bro, that kept them in the war from day one because Mako overconfident
Same
got
thing
him
with
killed.
Ohan and Bananji. Bananji, his army was so small that Akakin was able to stall them. That kept them in the war. Am I wrong about
But
that?
bro, that happened in what, like day 15?
No, I'm talking about before that when was it day 15? Like when they were fighting Chogaryu and Akakin was able to stall Bananji. It's
Yeah,
because
that was day
Bananji's
15.
forces were severely crippled compared to what they were before.
No, but then that's what I'm telling you. They weren't severely crippled because the men that came back were the men that were like injured. The men that didn't outright kill that were injured came back by that day.
Yeah.
Okay, but how many men is that compared to how many men Ohan killed? Because a lot of Bananji's army was shrunk down.
So what I'm gonna say is like because they never because they stopped giving us numbers, they just kept giving us over. So what I'm gonna say is that in Uhon's attack, he killed no more than 2,000 men, but because of how it happened, it won them the day. You know what I'm saying? But overall, by day 15, by the time Shin and them went to kill Chogaryu and all of the injured men came back, I'm gonna say Bananji still had anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 men of his elite, you know what I'm saying, of his elite men,
I
which
would
makes a
not say
big
that.
difference.
I would say maybe 5,000 at most, and then, or like just a bit under. So then when they took out half, it was like around 2K, 2.5K.
Fine, granted. Okay.
Yeah. So then, if
Fine.
Haishin unit took out around like 2K, 2.5K, and Ohan did the same shit, that's still pretty impressive. Granted, I'm not even talking about Ohan's destructive power. I'm talking about the strategic part.
See, that's the thing though. If you're saying that Uhon in his attack took out the same amount as the High Shin unit after they took out Chogaryu, then no way, no way.
I'm saying
But
you put the 2K in there. It's not like I did that.
I'm saying that like I said, anywhere from 5 to 7K. So at the high end it was 5K. You cut that down to half. It was 3.5.
But then that goes back to that picture that we were talking about where it was like 2.5 maybe at best.
Again,
With the
I just gave up arguing with you. I think it was somewhere between. I think it was more, but it's not really worth arguing like the exact semantics. What I'm trying to say is, compared to Shin and Moten's feat, which were permanent effects,
But saving
Uhon's
Akko
feats
was a
were
permanent effect though, as well. Like if he
okay.
didn't save Akko army would have been crippled by that because they would have
I
paraded his
mean,
head around and everything. Like they would have morale would have been zero.
and regardless, you can't argue that Akakin, if Ohan didn't do that, he would have been able to stop Bananji.
Oh no, I
Wait,
don't think
pardon?
he would have been.
Yeah, so then that's permanent effect because then Bananji would have gone past the Akakin and he would have flanked the Haishin unit and then they would have destroyed the Haishin unit. So Chogaryu would have never got fucked.
But they never mentioned
Oh, you talking about
Akakin
on
was
day
talking about the
15?
reasons they won.
Yeah, on the day Chogaryu lost. I'm saying if Ohan didn't do that, Bananji would have gone past the Eiko army and then flanked the Haishin unit.
Why? The Eiko army still had a sizable force.
The Eiko army was barely holding on. Like they were surprised they were even able to hold on that long. Like they were like trying as hard as they could.
But again, bro, everything that Uhon did was stated to have been delegated by that day. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Everybody that he didn't
Not
outright
everything,
kill,
obviously.
yeah, everybody that he didn't outright kill, and I'm saying he killed at most 1,000, because he only had 300 people with him, and then fucking CGR had sent another 1,000 people to stop that, and then he had to break off more to help Akakin. You know what I'm saying? So
It was a pincer though.
it was a pincer, but it wasn't like the High Shin. What I'm saying is, when the High Shin unit came through, they had thousands of people. You know what I'm saying? Which allowed them to kill half of Bananji's army outright. When Uhon did it, he had a few hundred. So the damage that was done is not the same. It's not even close.
True.
But then you also have to keep in mind that when the Haishin unit attacked, the day was already close to almost being over. While with Ohan, he had a lot more time probably.
I'm saying the Akko, what? It doesn't matter, bro. It still doesn't matter.
How does that not matter?
Because Uhon's pincer move with 300 men is not the equivalent of the High Shin unit's pincer move with half of their forces. Because they literally took half of their whatever 1,000 they had left, took half of it to go help help Uhon's unit because they was fighting Gyo-un, and then they took the other half, the heavy hitters, because it was stated that they took Sosui and all the heavy forces, and that Tin and the Kakin was working together, and that due to that, it wiped out half of the fucking Banaji army, bro. That's
Okay,
not
but
just
you
like
realize I was never
the
arguing
numbers.
that Ohan's destructive power was the same as the Haishin unit. I was arguing it's a
No,
permanent effect.
When I'm arguing that the feat is not the same, all I'm saying is that Udon in this arc has been a lackluster compared to Moten and Shin.
No
and
way.
It's an absolute fact, bro.
It's not. You literally can't argue that it wasn't a permanent effect because the Eiko army, they barely, like by the skin of their teeth, were able to hold on and like stop Bananji from flanking. If Ohan didn't cripple his army on day 2, Bananji for sure would have gone past them and flanked the Haishin unit, and then Chogaryu wouldn't have died.
Not really, because again, how many people do you really think he killed? Not injured, but killed. Because everybody he injured was back to fight that day. So how many people did you really think Udon killed? And I'm gonna say 1,000 at most.
Even if it's 1,000, that's still more than enough. Are you gonna disagree with that?
Nah, I mean, like we're just going around in circles now.
Wait, we don't have to keep arguing, but do you disagree with that? Because the Eiko army, they were barely able to hold on.
I'm gonna say 2,000 men in the grand scheme of things, especially after he got the of Gakurai's name. Yeah, I'm gonna say that doesn't mean much, truthfully.
Even with Bananji leading them, because then he has the manpower to like stall the other forces while he charges.
No, what I'm saying is that the men that Udon killed in his flanking, right? The amount of men that he actually killed, not the ones that were injured and came back. I'm saying that number didn't really matter because Banaji was reinforced with the Gakure remnant. So those numbers that were killed by Udon's flank attack on day 2 were made up by the Gakure army.
But then he'd just have even more if Ohan didn't do that. He would still have the Gakure remnants. He'd just have even more troops.
And what I'm saying is, when the Haishin unit came and wiped out half of them, it was a much bigger impact. You're arguing that that Udon's flank on day 2 is the same level of impact.
No, I'm arguing it had a permanent effect on the battlefield.
Again, I'm arguing that the effect that the Haishin unit had on the right wing was more dominant and more pronounced than what Udon did, and what Moten did holding down the left wing for 15 days is better than what Udon did. That's what I'm arguing.
Okay, you can argue the Haishin unit did better, sure, but what did Moten do that was better? All he did was stall like a much weaker enemy.
Bro, he a much weaker enemy, bro. He fucking took control of an army that he's never, like, you know what I'm saying, he took control of an army that he has nothing to do. One, was able to save the war on day 1. Understand that, fellas. If Moten doesn't do what he did, the war is over. Kisuinium completely destroyed. Bro, come on, bro. Kisuinium completely destroyed the Mako army, who beaten and morale defeated, right? The Mako army gets completely wiped out, and then Kisui and Bati and all of them are at Osador day 2. Bro, come on. Come on, bro. That's important.
Yeah, it is, but I still think the war wouldn't be over. Like, come on.
Okay. Are you arguing who did more important things or who did more impressive things?
Both.
Yeah, both. Like, you can have someone be important but also be like not that impressive in the grand scheme of things.
Because you also have to keep in mind that not only did he affect the Bananji army, but he also saved his own unit, which if the Gyokuho unit was taken out, then the war would also be over.
Yeah. He had the whole fucking vision of the whole battlefield shit.
I said you have to keep in mind that not only did he cripple the Bananji army, quote unquote, which even if you want to argue it wasn't a permanent effect, fuck the semantics, whatever, his plan was still genius because it also saved his own unit. And if the Gyokuho unit was killed on that day too, then the war would also be over.
I mean, like, again, it was impressive, but if you compare, so you compare him saving his own unit and doing negligible damage to what, Kyokai and them saving their own unit, destroying half of Chogaryu's army, destroying his elite corps.
No, but Shin was more impressive.
Hold on.
But I'm comparing him to Moten, not the Aishin unit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So so you giving it to Shin, we arguing Moten. Okay. Boom. Again, bro, that doesn't compare to Moten saving the war day 1.
Why?
He's had more than those.
He saved the war by doing that on day 2.
had the awakening where he
How?
basically saved the wing
If
along
if
with
if
Shin.
if the Gyokuho well, if the Gyokuho unit was taken out, that is not an instant defeat. You know what I'm saying? As long as
It will
Uhon is
lead to
still
defeat,
alive,
surely, 100%.
as long as Uhon was, are you saying Uhon dies too?
No,
Or are
no,
you
just
saying
his
just the
unit.
bulk of his men?
But Ohan saved himself too, which is part of why it's so
Okay,
impressive. But just
okay.
the Gyoko
But
unit
what I'm
dying was
saying
enough.
is, okay, what I'm saying is, if the bulk of the Gyokuho got taken out, but Uhon still lived, it is not as bad as the entire Mako army getting taken out, Mako included. Nowhere close. Because again, right, if that happens, literally on day 2, you have an army led by Kisui of 30,000, literally flanking Osen, who had an army of 30,000 at that time. Well, 30. What he had? What the rest of the high shin unit? They had 800 people. So what? He had 30. Oh man, I don't even feel like playing semantics, my nigga. 8,000 subtract fucking 800. He had 2,700, so he had 30,000. He had 37,000, 2,700. And then you have Raboku's army coming at him full tilt, bro. That's devastating. That ends the war day 2.
Oh, it does end the war. First of all, I'm pretty sure Kisu was at like 20k men around. But also, you have to
Okay,
look
so
at
yeah, leftover.
that moment when they awakened. Ohan being able to push back Chogaryu's troops, that was vital in the awakening working. Because if Ohan's unit isn't
Yeah,
there, then Gon and Chogaryu could just gang up on the Haishin unit and it's over.
And
but
telling
bro,
Shin about
but
awakening
bro,
saved the
that
right
but
wing.
understand that we don't even get to that point unless Moten does what he does.
No, but we are
Okay,
close.
but it's still war saving moments.
That's the thing though. The fact that Moten successfully saved more than half of the Mako army with Shin's help,
No,
then
but
kept the
that's because we
stalemate to
got
where he
first,
didn't lose. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the important part. Kisui's army is better trained, not better trained, but Kisui's army is more organized considering that their command structure isn't completely in disarray. Because they lost Mako and they lost the strategist. So now you're following a completely new commander who you put your trust in because he saved you, but it's still not the same, bro. So if Moten is not like doing what he's doing on the level that he's doing it at, like you call it just stolen, I call it saving the fucking war. Because at any given moment, if Moten loses, that war is over,
no,
and
but
he did it
Molten
by
wouldn't lose
himself.
though. Like he didn't struggle, to be honest,
But
after that first day.
that's because of how nice he is.
Because
Don't take the
Fankitsu's whack.
don't
Like
take
if it
the
was
no,
anybody
don't take
else,
the
he's
ease of
dying.
it. Don't take the ease of what he did for the lack of brilliance and the fucking importance of what he
No,
did.
it was brilliant, but Ohan did so much more as a like not just singly. Ohan did so much more over the 15 days, which beat what Molten done
And
on that
some of those
first
were
day.
equally important in saving the war.
Like
He
I
told
bring
Shin
up the
about
Gyoen and
awakening.
Chogaryu awakening moments. Even before that, on day 3, Ohan's unit was facing off against Bananji's unit. If Ohan's unit isn't there, Bananji just flanks the Haishin unit, and then the war's over on day 3. Like one day, literally after that flank happened.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
I said basically I was arguing again for that the Gyokuho unit, them surviving was essential for them winning the war, and like I brought up, okay, the awakening moment, it was essential there, and you're like, well, it's this many days after. I'm like, okay, even on day 3, it was Eiko against Chogaryu and Gakue. It was Haishin unit against Gyoun, and then Ohan was stalling Bananji. So if Ohan's unit wasn't there, Bananji would just fucking flank and destroy the Haishin unit, which is literally one day after
Right,
that
but
flank happened. So this takes back the whole war saving thing. Like, yeah, Moten's was technically more important because it's more men, and they would lose faster, quote unquote. But you have to take into
no,
account like the exact scenario because Mohan. I'm like literally combining them on some like Dragon Ball Z fusion shit. Moten's plan only worked because Kisu failed to account for Moten hiding his troops in those bushes. He like literally was so focused on destroying the Mako army. Just like how Mako was so focused on his victory, Kisu was doing the same shit. He forgot about Moten's unit. And that's not something that you
okay.
could really like afford to do against Chogaryu. Chogaryu would never fall for something like that. While Ohan, he actually came up with a plan that was like completely outside of Chogaryu's expectations.
Okay, again, I'm not saying it's not impressive. I'm just saying it's not as impressive, or it's as impressive, but not as important.
I'd say it's more impressive in like comparable importance.
I'm saying, like again, if Moten doesn't The game is over day one, bro.
Yeah,
If
but
Umon
that's all.
doesn't, if
Morton
Umon
went
doesn't
first
save the
though,
goal,
literally.
if
Come on, like Ohan ain't doing nothing on.
listen, that's just how it was written, bro. I'm just saying.
I
If,
mean,
if,
Yeah,
if,
but
Mo-
we're
if
I hate to
arguing
bring it back to
Ohan
Heki,
the
but
whole
if
list.
Heki doesn't kill Rozo, then the war is over.
Hmm.
that's a fact, and that it was the trashiest way it was written.
And that shows how it's
That's
like
that's
how
a
important
fact, but
something
I'm
is
not
when you throw
arguing
this
that.
into
If
the
heck,
list.
that was so terrible. Why would you bring that up? You
Yo,
have
but
no
John
better
is
argument, my nigga.
All
That
right.
was so terrible.
Jonkins,
What's up?
is this a tier list or were we just talking about random shit that happened? Sorry, I don't know.
First, me and Twale were just gonna get into a general discussion, and then it turned into tier list talk. It's more like a prelude because I still want to go in depth on the tier list. So yeah, it's
you
just like a
should tier
prelude
list.
shit. Hey man, if you can prove it's shit when we get to it, then be my
I
guest.
I've already talked to you about this shit for like hours, dude. At this point, I'm surprised he didn't change his list after the spread of effects.
Hey man, when you get exposed and I have the video evidence, we're gonna see, bro. We're gonna see.
Oh
Wait, where's
god.
Zeno on this list?
Why does
Bro,
everybody want to
at the
expose
bottom.
everybody?
Zeno's on the same.
Nah, I'm just trolling.
Yeah, it's all troll. On the same. Bro, is this like at the general or fucking strength? Again,
I posted both, so
the one that has Mob 100 is probably strength. Yeah.
yeah, you could probably infer
Zeno-
that.
Zeno is
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
strength as fucking Moten, bro. Come on. Fute? Oh, you're trolling me. I'm done to this list.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yo, it's crazy.
Nah,
Wait, you don't respect Fute, Drake? I thought you did.
Yeah, but Zeno's a lot stronger than Fute. Whoa, they get slapped.
But look who I'm comparing them to. Hold on, I don't have the strength tier list in front of me.
You comparing them to
Uh,
CGR, Mako. Is that
That's
the
what I'm
Nini?
saying. Bro,
Which one are you
think
talking about now,
You
Drake?
think
Was
Fute
the
can
strength
really
or the
fight Chogaru?
general?
I do. I feel like he would lose in a horseback fight, but I feel like he has a good chance at like pushing him to high extreme diff in a on foot fight.
Bro, we know
But why would it be on
Yes,
foot?
we
That's what I'm
high.
saying.
As a
Why
fighter?
would it be on foot if they're
What?
having like a general's duel?
Is that the Nini?
Fute could just kill the horse.
I mean,
and-
there's like
I'm
multiple
not
scenarios
saying
where they
it's
could fight on foot, but
I'm not
yeah,
saying it's
generally
good.
it'll be on horse.
That's what I'm saying. Like, come on, like, why, like,
You're comparing them to
God.
good. Like, is it, you try to like hide your like you try to you know how I was trying to sneak origins in the argument. You try to sneak people in this while comparing them to legit people. Like that shit. Then Remy should not be on this list. What? Neither does.
I mean, obviously you can fucking argue that he shouldn't be on the list. I'm gonna give my reasons for why I think he should be, and I already did to Twale earlier. But saying
like,
I'm trying to sneak
yeah,
Denrimi in there doesn't mean anything. Like obviously you can make a counter argument for him not being there.
Yeah, he hasn't really showcased anything that will indicate strength. So like, to have him give him that humongous benefit of the doubt is wild to me. While you sleep on other people that have been given hype.
But I have reason to sleep on them while I don't have any reason to sleep on Denrimi.
So lack of reason, it just makes him like higher in your list.
But I'm not saying because I don't have a reason to sleep on him that automatically puts him that high. I'm just saying that's my prediction for him.
So when I say this nigga's
Yeah.
biased, bro, you'll see the list. You can post it in your freaking like a thumbnail or something. Or is it ever gonna be on the video? Niggas can see what kind of list it is?
Yeah, both lists are on the video at one point.
Okay, cool. Crap, this nigga.
I'm still salty about Roku being the Figo King, bro. Those are my niggas. Like, why you gotta shit on those shit?
They're scrubs. They're not
I don't
scrubs,
like
but
this
come
list
on.
is like all over the place. Some of it is credible, some of it is creditless.
Shiva and Olsen all the way out there. Come on, man.
Like he gives Austin this humongous benefit of the doubt, but then like people that are comparable to him, like 5 levels below.
Bro, it's so funny you say this when you literally read that moment and you're like, man, I also get the feeling that Osen's stronger than Ohan. Wow.
Yeah, I do, but then I was
And I have Ohan in 97, nigga.
I scaled the other niggas too, like cocky out there.
Nah,
with
I ain't
Austin.
gonna hold you, bro. It's kind of wild that you have Akko and Benaji under physical strength. I like
Under who?
if Osen, like if
Ah.
Osen could kill Benaji, don't you think he would have just fought him?
Yeah.
Or are you not counting?
I mean,
that?
it didn't get to that point. I don't think he wants to risk it if he can help it, but if he has to, then fuck it, he'll throw hands.
Okay, I can respect that.
Just my overall reasoning is that when Fute and Banaji first pincered him, he could have just immediately dipped. Like, he could have just not wanted that smoke and just guaranteed his safety, but he chose to stay. And so that tells me that he's confident that he can deal with the situation if he has to. Of course, since he's cautious, he'd rather not, but if it came, like, he wanted to save his army, so if it came down to it, fuck it.
It could be similar to Roboku, like staying to watch Hoken, like all the way to the end. knowing that Hooker may die. Like he just knows he has the ability to dip if he wants.
But
Not
he
about
didn't really have the
Still-
ability to dip after a certain point because Fute covered his option.
I completely don't remember the argument. I had a nice ass argument that bodied you. I gotta bring that shit up. Hold on.
He could have, he could be strong enough to do
I
though. I'll
did,
give him
bro.
that.
Always.
You ended up agreeing with me, Draco. Like, that literally says enough.
What'd you say?
That he could have immediately dipped, and then he chose to stay.
I had reasons for it. I don't care about it enough to remember. Hold up.
All I'm saying is Fute is trash, man.
Get the fuck out of here.
Man, you'll see the
Fute
Fute light
is-
eventually.
Future end of series gonna
Bro,
fight shit.
when he joins the Haitian unit because Zao was destroyed.
He's gonna come back next arc with Origins, and he's gonna be OP, dude. Trust.
Fute is going
Sure.
true, studying on the ramp and that coming back strong.
He was talking mad shit about Rinko. You think Rinko want that nigga? Like,
Hey, he is
no.
better than Rinko, so he has the right.
Fute, future 3 great heavens. Don't sleep.
what futures? Nigga, Zao's over, nigga.
Bro, he might
They
get a
about
big
to-
boost in like 2-3
They about
years,
to recruit. They about to recruit this nigga Shiba show. He about to be tight. He about to be like, yo.
I'm about to just fucking write this shit in a document of why this guy's not 98. I don't even forget it.
He's gonna be like, yo, who is this dude, son? Like, I was, man. What yo, you really think? Okay, like, no, like, wow. Let's be real about this.
Shiba should right next to Oki. Shit.
Given how much time like Zhao has left as a fucking kingdom, do you really think Fute's ever gonna become a 3 great heaven?
I do. And it's because I don't think they're gonna immediately attack Zhao again. I feel like they'll probably have a wave invasion. They'll probably get attacked by Chu. They'll probably fight Han as well.
No.
How
But I
many
do think
years?
he'll become a great general of Shu though, like literally.
How many?
No,
years do you
I don't
think
buy
before
that.
How many
Really?
years before you think they take over Zhao? Before Zhao was destroyed?
I don't know. Maybe 3. Arbitrary number.
3.
I think he'll become a great heaven in 3 years though.
That's what I'm saying. Because he's not even.
Actually,
a
look at Shin and Ohan. In 3 years, they could be 6 GG.
In 3 years, there'll probably be GG at least.
Bruh,
No,
they're- okay,
yeah.
but wow. Fute
Yeah.
is not even a general now. We don't even know what Fute is. All we know is that Kane has 3,000. We don't even know how many men to take. Like, but
He might have like 5 to 10k.
Dude, watch, like, after this arc, he's gonna become a general just to stay on par with the Monster Trio. And then
Okay.
after, like, a certain amount of time, he'll just get elevated to GG, and then he'll just be part of the 3 great heavens.
Bro, yeah.
wow,
It's gonna. We might have like arcs in between,
Wow.
I guess, in between Zhao, and
wow,
then
that's
the
a
next thing you know,
that's a
Fute
bold
levels up.
prediction.
Hey, Hara put it in the title. He said future 3 great heaven. He called it, not me.
Yeah.
Same nigga,
But-
the
but
same
he
people
also-
that put Conky the same level as Revoka, but no one takes that shit.
I mean,
Nah, I'm
he's
gonna
6
say-
GG level.
This is the
No,
same
Yeah,
dude
he's
he's
just
that
on
down
vocal
said-
level specific.
Nah, Conky is definitely 6 GG level.
He's
But,
he's on Revoka's level, dog. I said it in the chapter
Yeah.
title.
Right, and Raboku is 6 GG level. Like,
Yeah,
No, but Revoke is at.
You
he's
make
Yeah.
it wider. But
like, come on,
I-
not
Evil grin
Like, here's the
intensifies.
thing, though.
But yeah, let's go back to the
Right?
fucking ocean shit, bro. Go
Nah,
ahead, Pale. Sorry.
Because I was about to say, because like, Raboku beat Oki, yeah, but do you think Raboku beats Oki 10 times out of 10?
No, but
No.
8 times out of 10, I'd give him it.
Wow.
I'm about to
Seven.
make my own tier list. I think I made my own tier list
Seven,
sometime.
Like, without like the surprise armies coming out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about in like an actual war. Do you think
Yeah, like
Raboku
Shukai
beats
type
Oki?
planes, innit? Yeah. Yeah, with Origins, bro, come on. What's Oki's commanders gonna do? You know? And Bananji's
Wow, y'all
And then-
really, y'all really act like Oki don't know nothing about instinctual type generals.
He
and
don't.
he's just
Oh, he ain't instinct. What can he do against Origin?
Ooh, found my list.
Wait, you don't think he's instinct, Kaz?
What'd you say?
bro,
You don't think
Origin's
Oki has
fine.
instincts?
Nah. Well, like regular, the actual
Bro,
instincts
he
like
knew-
Yoan and
he
Shin. Nah.
knew- son, he knew while fighting the 5 generals and Hoken in front of him that there was some other army coming.
Bro,
He just
you're
didn't
saying
know
that like
how-
he was
the
fighting
only-
them all
But I'm
simultaneously.
saying,
Like, come on, he was
the
chilling.
only thing that he didn't know was how fast. The only thing he misjudged was how fast Raboku's army was.
Mm.
Not that they were there, not that they were coming, but just how fast they got.
Well,
Yeah,
there's a
and
difference
that-
between
that-
having
with
instincts.
no- That's
with
it
no
wasn't
intelligence. That's instincts, my nigga. Like
Hold on, hold
what do you
on.
call that?
actual instincts.
There's a
Like,
difference between using instincts in one-off moments and being able to command with them. Because we also saw Osen, he like randomly looked and like his eyes were like had a vein in them, showing that he was worried. Like he knew some shit was gonna go down at the mobile battlefield. Like randomly, just like shifted his head like out of nowhere. So like people have like these one-off instinct moments. Like even Shogaryu, he's like, "Oh, on with your sharp instincts, you should know that it's over by now." And like Shoheiken, he's like, with all the kin commanders' sharp instincts, they should know that the attrition battle is gonna be over, etc. So what I'm saying is that
That's like saying Dukio should never get caught off guard. And he
no,
got
that's not what I'm
stopped
saying.
He got flanked by Kesha.
What I'm saying is that people can have one-off instinct moments. I just don't know if that necessarily correlates to them being able to command with instinct. So it's like a blurry line where you can argue Oki's instinct, maybe he isn't. I believe he is, but it's hard to say.
But Oki's.
No, but what I'm saying is, I believe that Osen is strategic, and he still beat the Origin chick willy nilly. Like
He figured it out though.
Willy nilly,
That's what I'm
exactly.
saying.
That's not crazy.
That's Olsen though. He's the smartest guy in the series. Like,
But I'm
Oki,
saying, I'm saying Oki could have done something similar. Not as I don't think as quick, but I think he could have done something similar to where it was like, okay, I send in a probe, I see how they react to it. Boom. Now I know what you know. What I'm saying, now I have an idea of what they're using.
I doubt it. I mean, maybe if he has like the instincts on top of it, so he has already a foundation to go off of.
But Oki don't have. Oki
Have
don't.
we fallen that low to shit on Oki? Like, are we that far?
Because I know you're just gonna say Riboku's overconfident, but he didn't think Osen could solve it.
I mean, yeah, like that. I mean, that was his overconfidence. Like,
Yeah, but I'm sure Riboku thinks Osen is like a tier above Oki in terms of just intelligence, and he's like, people of this tier also can't solve it.
Yeah, but he thought the same thing about Dukio.
Why would he
not
think
being
that?
able to. I'm saying he just he thought.
You talking to
the
me,
same thing
Draco?
about-
Yeah, why would you think it's tier above Oki?
Because of everything Osen did.
Oh, I thought you said Osen thinks Ruboku was a tier above Oki. That's what you said.
Oh, he thinks
No.
that as well.
I was saying Riboku thinks Osen, just in terms of intelligence, is probably a tier above Oki, and he thought he couldn't
I
solve
don't
it.
I just think that they hold those guys at such a high pedestal, and he like fought him, and he still could have lost if he killed Hoken. That he doesn't think he didn't think that low of him.
Well, it seems like he thinks Osen's a tier above Kanki, because when he saw the news about like the locust threat, he's like, I can only assume you're the person that's capable of this, Osen. Like Kanki being the one to do it, like didn't even cross his mind. Like,
No, but he's a supreme commander. Like, it's natural to
thinking in
think.
a certain way than someone.
no, because if someone's capable of doing it, then they don't have to be some supreme commander to do it.
No,
If
but
if he thinks Kanki's on his tier, then he should like have him as like a possibility in his mind. Like he was like, the only person that's doing this is obviously Osen. He's the only one that could do it.
yeah, because
think
remember
he-
when they were in Retsubi,
He could be
he didn't
sleeping.
say
I don't care. Yeah,
Kanki's.
the guy sleeps as well a lot. So
Yeah,
That's
he
all.
did. When they were in Retsubi and SSJ asked Roboku, "What would you do?" He's like, "If I was in Osen's shoes, I'll go to Gyo." And he didn't say, "What about Kanki?" And that he knew Osen went to see Gyo. It's only natural that Kanki came up with Osen came up with the local solution.
But him talking about what he would do in Osen's shoes has nothing to do with Kanki. Like he's not asking if Kanki also figured it out. In this
No, but
situation, Kanki can
knew
do
that
something.
Osen went to see Gyo. Like, he knew that was pretty much guaranteed. Osen would see it, not Kanki. Actually, Kanki could have went with him. He could have. I don't fucking know.
no, you had some there.
Yeah, I lost fucking my train of thought.
I don't know what you
But-
said initially.
Basically, like they were just talking about Osen, and they were like, okay, who's gonna go see it? Do you think he's gonna see it? He's like, if I was in his shoes, then yeah, I would definitely go see it. So Osen's probably gonna go see it. And you could argue that
yeah.
Kanki, he might not have been able to see it in Riboku's eyes either. It doesn't really matter.
Man.
Mm.
I don't think that what you saying earlier means he's a level above him in intelligence.
I'm saying in Riboku's mind.
In Roboku's mind, he thinks that what's the name? There's a lot of ways to talk about it. Either he's sleeping on them, like you're saying in Roboku's mind. People utilize their brain in different things.
I mean, clearly it wasn't, because clearly Kanki couldn't come up with the same plan.
Yeah, but like I said, he's sleeping on people's like utilize their brain in different things. Just because Kanki couldn't come up with that specific plan doesn't mean he can't come up with plans on that same level.
So then, what was the other things you're
Are you
talking
saying-
about?
Are you?
Because I was like, he could also still be like he could also be sleeping on Kanki, even though like he's also like that's all actually also happened after the fact. He realized it was only Osen that fucking made that plan. He could still at the same time still be sleeping on Kanki because he sleeps on Kanki all the time, and other people. But not in that instance, I guess.
Okay, but we're
No,
talking
but
about
no, you're
like,
talking.
what was that, guys? Or you want me to go?
Yeah, go on.
Because we were talking about ways Riboku can see it, and like one way is that okay, Kanki's not going to be able to come up with this, so of course it's Osen, and yeah, he could sleep on Kanki or maybe he wasn't, but you're saying in multiple ways like maybe there's a way that he doesn't view Kanki as being a tier below Osen.
No, I'm just saying. When I first said that statement, I didn't like you said. You clarified it by saying in the eyes of Riboku.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were making
But
that
this
statement.
was about the fires in and burning the food, innit?
Yeah.
In Gil, the whole reason he said
Yeah, the whole plan overall.
that makes no, but it was about the food. That's why Olsen said only you would come up. I gotta thank you for this, Olsen. Sorry, something like that. But that makes sense because Olsen did the whole fucking locust thing. So Kanki wouldn't really. It's not really Kanki's job to burn the granaries. So
Okay,
you have
but
to assume.
let's say for example, Osen comes up with the locust plan, and then he sends the refugees there. But Kanki also thinks of the same plan. He's like, I'm also gonna infuse like spies in this, and like tell Osen about it, and like, just make the plan better.
I
But
for
no,
sure
it
think they
Olsen
talk
though,
about
he
it
knew
after
that
the fact,
Olsen
but
was
it's probably too late.
to
You're right. At the end of it.
yeah to guarantee though that the food will run out before Kin runs out. Olsen would burn the make sure that he sends his own guys in. burn the food. So it makes sense.
Yeah, but it's so risky that even conceiving that being possible is like something crazy. So you can't like automatically say if someone's gonna do the locust plan, of course they'll do this with it too.
No, but it matches
Yeah.
though. Once you see he does that,
No, I
once you
Because
see
agree.
that happen,
even Riboku, he
Watch
knew about the locust plan, and he was still surprised when the granaries were like burned and shit.
yeah, he should have assumed that though.
Yeah,
But
because I guess he
I
didn't
think what he's
think about the
saying is,
entire plan.
I think what he's saying is
Mm.
because Riboku already attributed the refugees to Osen, he attributed the burning of
that's
the
what- that's
granaries
true.
to Osen too.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
You know what I'm saying?
th-
That's why Kanki, like that's why Kanki wasn't even considered because it's like, all right, well the fact that Kanki wasn't considered to be the one that did the locust plan could be something, but
That's
the
that's
fact,
I agree
you know
with
what I'm
that
saying?
part.
But
it
the
goes
fact that
overall.
like, all right, Oakson did this locust plan. So anything that results from anything that results from the locust plan, I have Osen to thank for that.
yeah.
You know what I'm
pretty
saying?
Obviously, yeah,
Whereas
'cause, like, why would
if he would have thought from the beginning, like, all right, Osen or Conky could have done this, and then he would have been like, okay, well, I have you Quinn bastards to think. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that he automatically attributed the locust to Osen makes it everything that results from it Osen's doing. And
Yeah,
Osen-
Yeah,
makes
but
sense,
you
yeah.
agree technically that Osen can come up with the locust plan, but not come up with the spies infiltrating the city and burning the shit. And then Kanki could technically like if he like realizes the plan too, and like Osen doesn't have to tell him, and then he just adds on to Osen, like he gives him a suggestion, like hey, we do this too. Like it's possible Kanki still has a hand in it, but like you said, just from the beginning, the fact that he attributed locust to Osen, that's him placing Osen on a higher pedestal to begin with. And so he's like, because Osen's on a higher pedestal, naturally he'd also be responsible for this too.
pretty much. I mean, I
That's
don't know
what-
about the
that's
whole
what
pedestal
Kanki
thing,
does.
but it's like, yeah, because, like I said, because he's the one, he was the commander. They knew that. You know what I'm saying? He was the supreme commander. He was the one leading this shit. So the locust plan was his. Now, could Kanki come up with something of equivalent measure? I don't know.
Something on that level, probably. Yeah. But
I don't
no.
think no.
I don't even know how
Honestly,
you compare.
I don't know if Kanki would have been able to, like, after seeing Retsubi, because like Kanki knew off rip that Retsubi was
I mean, if we're
trash.
talking about this specific situation, then no. Hell no. But if it's like another situation, like maybe, like something completely different, but just like impressive in other ways.
That's what I'm arguing. Yeah, like obviously we know hell no, not the situation, because he couldn't. But like,
Mm.
I don't
But
know.
I doubt that because this was
I give him
this
like
was something
that.
that was so unprecedented that it just is something like even above Riboku.
But I guess that's the difference between Kanki and Olsen, innit? Like Kanki would, instead of like waiting in Retsu, Kanki would actually just dipped and attack Gyo, and Olsen went to look just in case.
I don't
Kanki
think
would've
Kanki
looked
would
and
just
then Kin
attack.
would've
I really
Kanki
don't
would have
think.
looked too, like he said. He would have like checked out if that possible. That plan is
Nah.
even possible, you know.
I don't know if Kanki would check though. Kanki,
He didn't.
Well, he
say
he
that?
did say that the
Like, he
third
said
option is like
Olsen.
attacking Gil with all our might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could argue like
Well,
literally that might be what he meant, but I feel like he would just go check that.
Yeah. That's what the whole scene was telling me that like that's the plan that like that's what I was arguing like 3 years ago. That's what Austin was trying to see if it was possible to
Yeah,
attack the
that's what
ship.
also. But I don't know if Kanki would be cautious enough to like go check and just in case.
How you sleeping, bro? That
I
shouldn't be
ain't
possible.
sleeping. The guy, he's just
He's not
overconfident.
an idiot. Like he's not gonna fucking risk like
Nah.
350,000
Well,
people.
it's so weird
Not
because
for nothing.
like they were surprised that it was a moat in the first place, but it's like they have all this intel on Zhao apparently. Like they have informants and shit, but no
Could've
one
been
told
a
them
new,
about the
like,
moat.
Yeah, I remember
That just
Malone.
shows, like, it
I
could be
always
like
hear
how-
Information
they
lockdown
have
was
a
crazy, I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they have Roku did all this shit just to get.
Just still, that just seems like unbelievable.
Like, they could have just have like a citizen, actually some spy, just go look around. I don't know. It's that
I
good
don't know if
motivation,
Conky
though.
could have came up with the locust plan.
I don't think he could have
Nah,
because
probably not. But
it took him like forever to even realize that's what he was doing.
yeah,
Finally
Also,
got Draco
I
to
didn't
concede
know
on that
about
like a year or two ago. It was glorious.
I've never disagreed with that. What? Hello?
No, you disagree with Conky's dialogue proving that.
No, I just
wonder,
disagree in the moment
wonder who
that
found
it still
out
took him
first.
a long time to discover it. But I felt like it didn't take him the moment of him seeing Gyo to see it. Like the way that Koyoyo would say, "No attack, we're not sieging." Why would he say that if initially his plan was to siege Gyo?
Because they didn't get orders to?
I mean, yeah, but like
no,
it's not like what's his name? He's waiting on orders from Austin to realize what they're doing. The obvious thing is to siege us if you're here. Like the way he said it was, he understood that they weren't sieging from what he concluded himself, which he told Kyo, don't tell him, don't siege. That's how I read it. But what you could be saying is true as well.
The thing is that the only way you can argue Conky's dialogue doesn't mean he just found it out or like found it out like around that time is
That's what I'm saying, around that
if
time.
he was literally trying to like fanboy over Olsen. Like he realized it already and then he was like waiting until it happened to be like, oh shit, and like pretending he just found it out just to praise him.
That's Conky's sarcastic nature, dog. Come on.
But he's not a fanboy though. He doesn't like go that far just to fanboy.
He literally said, "Oh,
So-
you really
so
was
your
sick
boy-
bastard." Like he was fanboying, like
I was
fanboying.
about to
Like,
say your boy
in a mockery
Conky
sense.
fanboying. Okay.
Nah,
In a mockery
relax.
Because
sense.
he was caught out. He was like
Your boy was
starstruck in the
hype.
spot, you know, like he couldn't hold it back at that moment. But it's not like he's like
Like-
waiting like fucking hours and then like keeping it in his mind and like preparing to say it.
And I also think it's fucking narratively speaking. Like you didn't have any chance for him to say it before, you know. You're just saving it for that moment to see what he probably already thought, a couple miles ahead of Gyo or something.
I
I
mean,
wish they would've showed
it just
me.
goes
That's
back to the
something we
fanboy
never
thing.
take into account. It's like fucking the way the story is structured makes people like makes it think some one way when this could be just that story structure, you know.
Like I said, I wonder who found out first, him or Kyokai.
Kyokai.
Kyokai had like a fucking hint, but I feel like Kaki put it together first. Yeah, I don't know. You're right, Kyokai probably. That just
What was
shows you,
that?
like, I think Kaki's a lot smarter than Kyokai. Not a lot. Like, a decent
No,
amount
he
smarter
is,
than
like,
Kyokai, but she
definitely.
figured it out before him. That doesn't really say anything about Kaki's intelligence.
I mean, I think Kyokai has like some gift when it comes to thinking outside the box.
That's what they said about him as well, right? Like these prodigious people that can think outside the box.
Yeah.
That's the whole Kaki shtick. He's like a guy that doesn't do doesn't do it in ordinary or whatever.
But then we
Yeah,
talked about this
he-
before.
yeah,
We're
like-
like using the civilians in this way instead of like butchering them or like
That's what I'm
fucking
saying,
them
he's
up is
right.
like something like so unconky like that it was just he didn't think about it.
That's exactly. I think I said that before. Like that's literally unlike him. They would never think about it.
True. That makes sense. Why?
That could be a. That's why in this
Because
instance,
Kaki a fuck
Austin
nigga.
was better because he had like a more bigger grasp of things. Like in the overall instinct on the same level. And the thing is, right? I hype Austin all the time. I'm like the most fair person to Austin. Like
Maybe
some
can't
people,
get like a wall to himself again.
some people go too far with Austin. You know, I'm not gonna say any names, but gotta reel him back in.
Nigga, in Ocean we trust. Nigga, you say my name. I don't give a
Now,
fuck.
Taller,
That's my-
you're
that's
not that
my
biased.
boy.
You're not
He
that
was
biased.
gonna say my name. He has a hit out on me.
You're not that biased, Taller. You're pretty fair.
Nigga, Ocean is GOAT. Nigga, what you mean?
When it comes to
Raboku-
Austin, you're not biased, but you're biased when it
Raboku
comes to.
who? My nigga.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was saying this shit right this man Roboku was facing a guy on his level the entire time, and he's like, you know what? I can't beat him. Let me try to go to
Right?
Gyo and
Nah,
beat
but
it.
that's the
And
thing
he
though.
gets to another guy on his level that's even gonna fucking give him the time of day. It's like fighting.
Nah,
Like,
nah. See, that's where we confuse that, bro. Osen is above the both.
Relax. Osen and Kanki are side by
In
side.
Osen, my nigga,
Facts,
if
bro.
you've been trained,
See that
you've
dialogue,
been
bro? These niggas
training
on
your
the same level.
soldiers. Y'all, wait, hold on. Y'all hype up this origin shit to the nth degree this
I
entire
don't.
time.
I don't.
Now,
Doc is done.
I do, yeah. Origin.
now,
Yeah, Draco's always been salty that Kanki hasn't gotten Origins hype, so he's been trying to downplay it from the start.
Bro,
So-
Kanki
I never have ulterior motives, bro. I'm just saying.
Sure,
so
buddy.
all I'm saying is, my boy Osen saw through that bullshit literally in 5.2 seconds. Literally.
Yeah,
and
that
said,
just shows
"Oh,
how.
That's cool. Said, oh, that's really cool. Let me show you how to counter that.
He low
Boy.
diffed there, like literally
And
low
it
diffed
said,
there.
and it said, boy. So if we put so much fucking stock in the origins, then bruh, countering the origins as quickly as he did, something that you trained, that supposedly trained his soldiers so many years, like nah.
Well, I do think that's a goat feat.
Osen's that goat.
That's
That-
why. That's
Osen's
why.
that-
John
It took
Cena-
Riboku 3 days to fucking figure out joints and counter it.
Yeah, because Bobby Jones is like more complicated to figure out than Origins.
Yeah.
could be, you know.
Could
Origins is
be.
not that complicated because
He
like,
said,
it was
like,
like
Origins was taken. I mean,
If Origins isn't that complicated to figure out, then why was Riboku confident Osen wouldn't figure it out? I mean, obviously he was overconfident, but are you gonna argue he's just
That's
like
what I'm saying,
incapable?
bro.
Like,
That's arrogance.
he's actually super arrogant. Like this is a
Yeah, I'm
fatal
gonna say,
flaw.
Riboku
but
is-
if he's so arrogant, how come he can make these like so many predictions that rely on you like judging the ability of the people on the
And that's why
battlefield?
it always comes down short.
But he only comes down short because of like who he's up against. He's up against like crazy odds.
Osen, like,
Because
nigga,
in his
it was a fucking M3, like,
calculations,
come
he
on.
slept on the people he's up against, right? That's why he comes down short. He always
Right.
loses because he fucking sleeps on people.
Did he sleep
Yeah,
on Oki?
Nah, he didn't sleep on.
Yes.
That
You
was,
know
Bro,
what-
no,
you
don't.
know
thought
what it
Hulk
is?
could kill him. but he
You know what
couldn't.
it is, bro?
He
Bro,
even
he-
said,
first of all, he had a whole secret army against Oki. He didn't fight Oki fair one.
Yeah, that's him not sleeping on him.
bro.
That's
even
the one
Kane
guy
was
who
like,
did it.
Kane was
But,
like,
like,
this is
Compare
over the
Oki
top
at
for
6
Oki.
GG that has all these fucking records of
But I'm
war.
talking about
to Osten and Kanki who are unknown in the grand scheme of things. They're like they were like, under
But-
Mogu's entire time.
After
They're like,
Sanyo.
Okay, but Osen already proved himself up until that point.
yeah, but like to you, but not probably not to Roku.
No, because Riboku was hella impressed by the Locust plan. He was hella impressed by joints. Then he saw that he was able to do the strategy with Kisui.
I don't know. He's still asleep for you know this.
And then Osen
Roboku's
saved them at
problem is
Coalition.
He believes that
Fucked over
nobody's on
Rempa.
his level.
He believes
That's
that what?
Roboku's problem. That
How do you-
nobody's on his level.
Bro,
When you
Roboku-
like see him, he doesn't come off as that arrogant, but like he's actually.
That's what you
Oh,
gotta
and,
do. That's
Draco.
what you gotta think like you need to
Literally
build,
before they
right?
clashed at the center, Riboku said that it was like a comparable force, Osen's. He's like, that's why we can't send more people because our forces in the center are like around comparable.
No.
Yeah.
That's halfway through the war. I'm talking about in the beginning, like when he was fucking
I agree
in the
with you.
courtroom.
He's
when he was in the
inconsistent when it
courtroom
comes to
talking that
sleeping, but he
shit.
does sleep on people a lot.
Like,
Not
oh,
really,
you
I
can
don't
send
think he's
Mobile,
something.
Toe. He's like, you can send Mobile, Toe, Osen, and you can send everybody, and I'll still beat them all.
Nah, but
It's
that's
like,
different though. That wasn't like
Nah, why?
thinking that.
Why?
That was more of like.
You know what he's gonna argue.
That was more of a, these guys are trashing my country. They want me to
Right,
take it.
these
They want me
guys-
to take
no,
it.
these guys
So
are-
th-
No. He
so
was
the-
saying that he's
so
better.
would you rather
than
him be
all the
silent
queens.
rather than like say a boisterous claim to get all the kin politicians shook? Like it makes sense for him to like, because
Okay.
He's
But
bluffing.
then you
He's-
got,
whatever he
but
says,
then you
yeah,
gotta back it up.
can't back it up with who he is. So the politicians will
he
be
also-
scared. So
Absolute
it's just a
victory
it's just a
is what-
political game, innit? Not an
absolute-
actual belief.
Absolute victory is what he promised his men before the battle started.
Yeah, bro. But that's how you
He
got.
said, he said,
Yeah.
boys, pull up. Let me tell you the plan that's going to lead us to absolute victory. See, my nigga Osen, he said, pull up. Let me tell you the plan. You know what I'm saying? Because they like Osen.
Bro,
always,
because it's
like,
different though. These
Because,
men are
yes,
getting
'cause it's
invaded.
different.
It's their home getting invaded. He needs to instill
Alright,
confidence
cool.
and all of that stuff. Like, come on.
Yeah, but you gotta be tactful, my nigga. You gotta be
He is,
reasonable.
bro. But
You can't sit here and be talking about absolute victory and getting smacked on. Oh
How
my
should
God,
you have
Johnny
zero
Ive,
chance?
my nigga. He-
be
Bro,
being a
said,
free
bro,
great
from-
heaven,
from
you know.
From the moment that they entered Retsubi, it was an absolute defeat. That's all Roboku kept saying.
That's
Then he
why
got
I'm
hit with the
saying-
Then he
But
got
that's
hit with
'cause-
the Locust plan.
Yeah.
It was like Nani. Then he got
And
hit with the
he kept saying it's still absolute defeat. Like even he sees that shit, he says no way they're winning. Like he's
like.
not.
But he had a good reason to believe it every single time.
Bro,
Like
every
Yeah,
time,
at
every
Retsubi, he had a
and
legit
listen,
reason, and then at
every
Shukai
time,
Plains, after each thing, once he killed Mako, he had a legit reason. Then Molten bounced back.
Once he
yeah,
took out Eiko, he had a
bro,
legit reason. He didn't think Osen could solve Origin, so he had a legit reason.
like every time he got a legit reason,
sleep,
but it
sleeping
gets
on
to the
Shem,
point
sleeping
where
on Moten, sleeping on everybody.
right, your legit reasons become wrong, then they're not legit anymore, bro. You just named 5
I'm saying
times
legit as in reasonable to think.
reasonable to think. Yeah, I mean, okay, the Moten thing,
I
I
rather
got you.
overestimate
Moten
people.
is probably like the least known person on his radar. No bullshit. Like you know
The
what I'm saying?
Not
Like
the
the
only
locust
one-
thing
Osen-
definitely
Osen knew
something that it's hard to predict.
So Roboku. I'm talking
Osen knew he
I'm
was
talking about
capable.
Roboku.
Didn't he ask him to join his crew?
Not Osen, bro. Not Osen. Reboku.
I know that's what I'm
Moten is
saying.
probably
but
like Moten is probably not on Roboku's radar like that. Or at least he wasn't before this.
I feel like
Osen
isn't
probably
like
knows to
what
study on
Moten's
the
accomplishments
Shimizu
should be
well.
known to Roku, right? Like I don't know why.
What
Osen would-
accomplishments though? Like that's the thing
Yeah.
though. All
No,
of
but he.
Moten shit is off panel. He hasn't killed any named generals that we know of. That's what I'm saying. Like he's relatively unknown. We know he's a genius, but niggas outside of us don't know he's a genius. So I
But
can
he
give
might
you
have
the
like
fact.
done wars by himself, not wars by himself, but shine by
But
himself
remember,
on off screen all the
in
time.
his early
did.
campaign, he did. But in his early campaign, Mogu was keeping him on the back foot. He wasn't letting him do the. Remember, Moten should have been a 1,000-man commander when Shinonum was just a 300-man commander.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But Mogu was holding him back. That's why he's relatively unknown. Which is why I'm saying it's understandable that Roboku didn't know he could pull off the shit he did on the left.
No, but
wing.
Roboku must have gotten reports of how he performed, or like he must have read through like, all the
coalition, like he
kin.
was, him and Ohan were able to
Yeah.
Doing that, yeah, I get that. But doing that in the coalition and then saving the left wing are two different levels of fucking intensity.
And then he was able to fight Karen and like annoy her enough to want to kill him, but then they had to withdraw.
Karen should just wipe the floor with Toe, man. I can't believe she didn't, man.
Yeah, the one thing I will give you is that war. He probably did pull up some achievements that might give Riboku that idea that he's something to look out for.
But
Well,
what he did there wasn't.
so if that's the case, then Roboku really be sleeping on everybody.
So I'm saying,
he's sleeping on Shin, he's sleeping on Uho, he's sleeping on Moti, he's sleeping on everybody.
Crazy.
Everybody.
There's still young bucks to him, innit? Like, come on.
I don't see what's so wrong with him being wrong. Like people can be wrong.
No, I'm
Yeah,
just
but
saying it's fatal flaw.
It's when you got your but it's when he says he's gonna be right too often. I don't know,
Bro, you have to believe that though. You can't be in a leadership position and like say you're
Nah,
gonna be
you can't.
wrong
You
or
can't just say you have to
a plan
convince
and
yourself
not
and like
believe in
delude
it.
yourself, Kaz.
Like no, but he
Facts. Like
everything
it's not
he
just
said
he
was
has
legit.
to sound confident, so he says the
Right.
most outrageous things. Like
Like,
everything.
okay,
is
imagine.
bro.
Okay, this is an example.
Smooth-
LeBron, yeah,
he's
when
smooth
he's playing
saying-
against the Warriors, is he meant to
Yo.
say, "Oh, lads, we're gonna lose," even though
No.
there's a 99% chance he's gonna get swept
No.
here. He's gonna go in there.
Okay,
Like,
that's a basketball game. That's not deciding the fate of your nation.
No, but it's deciding the fate of your state, innit?
But bro, it's like this, right? It's like
You'll
this, right?
see.
When Chogaru and them was getting pressed, instead of being
Yeah.
mad, overconfident, like yeah, Chogaru and them got it, and even if they don't got it, I got it. Instead of doing that, maybe you should have sent some help or went over there
But
with
he
another
couldn't.
little trick or two. Why
Bro,
not?
come on, how many
are
tricks he get?
my nigga, how many more men? 3,000. With this special origin shit that he was so confident in. So you telling me he couldn't spare Kinmo to go
No,
help
remember
them?
what Ohan said? Like the whole, like Roboku, the center armies, and they couldn't send nothing anymore because anything they send less is gonna give the other half an advantage. So he couldn't, even though
Right.
Roboku outnumbered Osen,
with his
strength was
special
still
with his
equal.
special origins tactic again that he didn't think anybody could beat. You
But
know
then-
what I'm saying? Like again.
Okay, the thing is, Shogaru only died because he basically suicided because of some like crazy message that Rusojo told him that no one has any idea about.
RSA from the grave F Roboku so many times, you know, come on.
And then Chogaryu's like shifting stance formation. If he wanted to, he should have been able to use that for his whole army. But since he underestimated the Haishin unit's charging power, he only used it for the final wave before his HQ.
And like, if you go and retreated, yeah, when Benanji said so, which was Roboku's plan, instead of flipping fighting Ohan, then the war would have been different again. But you know, RSJ's a fucking
But then if Gyoen's also in the table, then that would make Olsen even more cautious. So he's unlikely to land that pincer.
Yeah. Didn't Ohon wait? When did it go? When did he send the pins? I mean, when did Olsen attack the center? Before Gyon died, or
Yeah,
while Gyon was still alive?
I
yeah.
mean, it was like relatively at the same time.
Yeah.
No, no,
So
no.
Gyon would have
Ocean
retreated
started.
with Bananji, and then Olsen still would have attacked. Pretty sure.
I'm saying, yeah, the
Yeah.
Gyoen died in that same day, but
Yeah,
Ocean
but
started
you
the
should
fight
you
first.
should know that Gyoen died because it would be like a huge surge in morale and like they would like fucking start screaming and shit.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah, no,
Olsen
he
would have.
definitely heard
Oh, I
it.
talk about the pincer against Olsen, not his pincer against Roboku.
Say that again.
You said Olsen would have been more careful against the pincer if
Yeah,
Gyon was still alive.
yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah, that makes sense.
I'm gonna head out. I have to look drive home. Peace, guys.
Saying,
All right,
take
peace.
him.
All right, man, be safe.
Just so you know, conquer the goat. Don't forget that shit.
Yeah.
Credulous,
Facts
credulous.
and it's gospel, man.
Wash your hands with that coronavirus you got.
Like, he
You
coughed.
out here, you out here sick, man. You out here talking sickness.
Oh my god. Oh, fam, if going just listen to Roboki. See, this is what happens, fam. He has shits the wilderness, as Olsen fucking said. Well, you can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, I mean, how's he supposed to predict a double suicide like that?
Like,
I'm about to say
fucking.
he didn't say like he said that Yo-Un and what you call it, Chogaryu were the pillars, and they didn't suicide themselves. My nigga had a rotting arm. He couldn't do much. He
What do you
wanted
mean a rotten
warrior's
arm?
death.
Come on, this is Kingdom.
Bro,
Like,
his
after a year,
arm,
his arm would
bro,
have been active
that shit was
again.
turning
Like, we
colors.
know.
Bro, he
We
only
know.
needs one arm.
Bro, that's
Should have
because
he
the
should have
wound
cut it
is still
off.
fresh though. Like,
He
it's
should
a
have cut
day
it off
old.
like Mogu. He should have cut it
Nah.
off like Mogu then, but he didn't. So the shit was rotten. And he wanted a warrior's death and not some bitch ass, oh, I'm gonna die to this illness like my master. Nah, fuck
But you
that.
really think he would have died to the illness?
I don't think he would have died
Yeah,
to
bro.
that.
Given
Bro,
the
come on.
time period in, my nigga, they have very like limited. Like
I
if
mean, I'm
we
not saying he's like gonna like pull
bro,
like
it
some
was the
miracle
day
medicine to
after,
cure it.
but I'm saying it was the day after, and the shit was still turning colors and rotting.
Yeah,
So
but
you
it's
like-
it's the
like-
Kingdom
like-
verse. You know they could
yeah,
survive
yeah.
like crazy shit.
Yeah, bro,
No,
Motown
bro,
was
his
slashed in
only
half.
option was amputation. Since he didn't amputate it, the infection would just continue to spread. He would eventually die
Yeah.
from the infection.
No,
the
you
wound
you
would've
can't
been
just say an
over, like,
infection
in a
is gonna
I'm not
guarantee
saying it
someone's
would've-
death in Kingdom.
I'm not saying it would have happened immediately, but I'm saying like he would have been in, like his arm was turning colors. Like you know what I'm saying? Like they mentioned that it was rotting. Like that shit should have. They said anybody else would have amputated it, but he's a real nigga, so he kept it. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's what they
And
said.
anybody
So-
else would have died maybe from the infection, but Gillen would have survived longer. At least till the war
Yeah,
would end. and
you
then
know
after
Kingdom
that,
used
Yeah,
this
no,
logic where
no,
like
I'm
if
not
you're
saying-
strong,
no,
you
I'm
can
not
just
saying he would've
defy
died.
weird shit.
I'm not saying he would have died in the war. I'm just saying he would have later,
Alright.
later on,
Yeah.
succumbed to the infection.
But fam, he wouldn't even
I don't
need
know
to
about that.
fight though. Like if he just leads from the back with his instincts, it would have made a big difference in the center, like the final day. But
And even if he doesn't do that, he can just go put it in work with one arm. I mean, Toe fights with one arm with a sword, and Gon can do the same shit.
yeah, but Toe's like right-handed. That's Toe's hand though. This is Gon's weaker hand, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm about to say Uhong got his dominant arm. That's what made it so devastating. Had it been his weaker arm, then yeah, y'all probably right. He could
Yeah, it
have
makes
done
no
more.
difference.
But it was his.
I don't really think it makes a difference. I mean, these fighters are so skilled; they're probably ambidextrous. You'd think.
Nah, I doubt it. Like,
Nah, bro.
when it
Like
comes
your
to fighting,
dominant
bro,
arm
it's
is your
just,
dominant
yeah,
arm.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's like equal if he loses like his other arm too. I'm just saying he's like
Put it
somewhat
Put
comparable.
it like this, right? Put it like this, right? If he had his dominant arm, Uhong doesn't kill him. Uhong dies. Because
Maybe, but
that non-dominant arm almost cracked his armor and almost bent his shit back. If that was his full strength dominant hand, Uhong dies. Straight up.
yeah, but just the fact that it almost broke Ohan's arm, like this man still packs a powerful punch.
Oh no, I'm not
Yeah.
saying he's like terribly weaker, but I'm just saying like that dominant arm shit makes a difference. It was literally written like that for it to make a difference, to make it believable why this freshly off the dead injured Uhong came back and killed this nigga. Because if you think about it, if you compare the injuries, Uhong should never have come back, let alone come back and actually beat him. But he did, and that's how they made it believe. Is that they took out his dominant arm, it was affected and all this extra shit.
And he, for like, I guess he thought Ohan wasn't capable of sending another attack, so he wasn't even like paying attention to Ohan. He was like looking at his fucking arm, like, oh shit, he actually overpowered me, and then he just gets stabbed.
Yeah, pretty much, bro. Like these out niggas be overconfident than a bitch. I'm like, I'm sorry, but
That's what you
that's
gotta do,
literally like
man. You think MJ ain't confident, man. That's how.
them niggas is arrogant as fuck because they really think that like, yo, no matter what, we gonna win, no matter who it is. That's just what it is. We win because we Zao until they die.
It's like a fucking cult, bro.
It's a winning
Nah, for
mentality.
real.
Like
Until
Kinwa
they
just
die, and
fixated
then
on
they looking
losing.
like fucking what was his name, Gakurai, and it's like you saw how his face looked when he died. He was just like completely like hollow. It's like
He just went full retard mode.
like
No,
this.
but,
So this is what Kesha Sama felt like. Yeah, nigga, death, experience it, have fun.
bro.
Like
But like when Kim was heading to Gyo and before that Olsen's plan, all they were fixating, oh my god, we're gonna lose, we might lose, we might lose. So you can't really have that mentality. So I was like, no matter what
no, but
happens,
it's not about having
we're
that
gonna win,
mentality
we're
that
gonna
we're
win.
gonna. But
And they
no,
come
but
up with
again,
actual methods to win rather than they come up with a method and still believe their method may not work and stress so much. You know.
nah. Again, it's not about sitting here like like a defeated state. But again, the shit that Reboku be saying, it just like, look, my nigga, you gotta temper your words. Like again, if you are
Bro,
so absolute and so confident in your shit, then you could have sent
when
Kinmo.
you have that
It's not
track
like
record, it's
it's
legit.
not like
You know what I'm
Kinmo. But I'm just saying, it's not like Kinmo was a great addition to the origin strategy. You know what I'm saying? He still had the two Earls. You know what I'm saying? He still had Kane. He still had Fute. So it's not like he really needed Kinmo. So he could. So shit, he even later on sent Kinmo when the Haishin unit actually broke through Chogaryu and them. But if he would have sent Kinmo from the moment that Chogaryu and them was in trouble, instead of being on this, oh nah, they got it. Shin and them ain't gonna do nothing by himself. You know what I'm saying? Instead of doing all of that and actually, you know what I'm saying? That would have changed the battlefield. Sending Kinmo and his 10,000 men, I don't think Shin and them would have been able to beat them if they would have had those
No, but
reinforcements.
he needed those 10,000
Probably
men to
not,
rush
yeah.
the left side just in
Probably
case
not,
Ken do
but
win the right
uh,
wing. That was
I
the point.
mean, yeah, but you see how it worked out for him.
Yeah, that's
If you would
because
if he would have nipped that problem in the bud, he would still have 70,000 men trained with the origin technique to go against Osen's 30,000 men. So 70,000 versus 30,000, you
Whoa,
still have
whoa, it
the
was not
numbers in that.
70,000. Calm
think of
down a
Reboku,
bit.
we're
60.
talking about
Wait.
Reboku had 80,000 in his HQ, didn't he?
No, he had
Whoa,
40k.
80?
Kinmo made 50k.
Kenmo Reboku had only 50k in his HQ.
Yeah.
Really? I thought he had like 60.
I thought he had like 60 to 80k. It was
80K is a
100
bit
and
much. Though.
it was 120k versus in 88,000.
Yeah.
88, you know what I'm saying, in the beginning. We
Yeah,
know that,
Kisu side was 30k, and then Chogaryu had
right,
fucking 10k, Gakui had 10k, Benanji 10k, Gyon 10k,
That's
and
right.
then
so that's
Kinmo 10k.
70K.
It's 80k.
so that's 70. Right. So they had
Had Kimmo 80. Yeah, he has 40. Damn.
okay, fine. So 40 with the origins. You
And
don't have
Olsen
to
had
deal
what, 30K?
30k. So 40
That's
40k with the
that's
origins. You still have the Earl. You still have both your Earls. You still have Fute. You still have Kane, and you don't have to deal. You don't have to worry about the Haishin unit flanking you, and you still have Osen. Shit. Not Osen. Hoken. If anything, Hoken
Oh, no
falls.
Hoken. Come on. There was no Hoken.
Wasn't he there by that time though?
He
Uh,
wasn't. He wasn't anywhere. Like Rook didn't know where he was still, but he knew he'd come back and f shit up.
Well,
But
the nigga showed up. Well, I'm just saying. So if you would have been more proactive and not like on this high horse, nah, we got this. And like the nigga literally
no, but
said,
he, bro,
No,
don't
no, hold
actually
on,
wait.
hold on. He literally said, Chogaryu and them, they got this. And even if they don't got this,
Yeah,
it
that's what I was
doesn't
gonna
matter.
say, bro.
Like
Because at that
that's
point,
that's
Gil was full of
overconfidence
food.
and arrogance. That's
No,
straight up.
because at that point, Gil was full of food, and Roboku's plan was when, on the off chance the left wing do lose, he's just gonna hunker down and defense. And his defense is fucking amazing. I don't think Olsen would have beat that.
yeah, if he just
But
stuck to defending, then Kin wouldn't have won in time.
but obviously after that shit changed, you know. So his
But at the
confidence
end of the
changed
day, I
because
do
of
agree
shit
that
happened.
sending Kinmo earlier would have been the better play.
Kimo was in the HQ surprised at everything.
I mean, shit. The whole reason why he was
Would have
forced
made
into
it.
attacking was because he got outplayed by Osen. So that's on Riboku. We're not giving
Yeah, but he
are we
got
giving him a pass for getting out?
no. He did get outplayed, and that's Olsen's dub, but it was like so long ago that
So
at this
that's
point in the battle, it surprised him, innit?
No, but he's saying he got outplayed after it was like too late to send Kinmo in the time frame you're talking about. So it was like different things to consider at that time.
shit. When did they?
Wait, what?
When did he send that message with Kane to go attack? Like what day was that?
To go attack Olsen?
Ohan?
Uhon, yeah.
Oh.
That was a day before Chogaryu and the Haishin unit fought.
So that was day 14. Okay. And they found out about no, because they found about the food thing day 15.
Yeah, like they found out about the food thing after Osen and Riboku already clashed. Which at that point he sent Kinmo to like ambush.
Right. And what I'm saying is, instead of like, you could have sent Kane with the Kinmo army. You know what I'm saying? Like, just send them the extra 10,000. There's no chance of them losing. And then once they beat Shin and them, even because that was just after the awakening.
No,
right?
but there is a chance, so that's the whole point. He needs Kimmo though. Like you have to like,
Why?
because there's a chance they may lose or win, but Chogari's there and Goen's there and Bananji, so
I mean,
those three heavy hitters are.
No, I don't agree because if we're talking about when the Haishin unit was fighting Chogaryu, if you send Kinmo to that battlefield, there's just so many men that they'll be overrun.
But Olsen could have attacked him then right there. Which,
I mean, yeah, but Riboku was confident he could hold out.
Right. But I say all they have to do is hunker down and defend, right? We all
actually,
agree
no,
that
Olsen would have sent men there because they both would have sent men.
no,
yeah.
Osen didn't have the men to spare. Who the fuck was he gonna send? Denrimi, and then have
No,
20,000?
Olsen has way more generals. He could have sent like 5K to help because Riboku lowered his.
I mean, I don't think Osen has the luxury to send any more people.
No, he does. Because
Right.
if Riboku loses 10K, Olsen could lose 5K. Like he has that.
But
luxury.
Riboku was fighting on par, and like this isn't about the defense thing anymore. But he was fighting on par with Osen, like 40K versus 30K. Like Kinmo wasn't ever part of the battle. Like he could afford to send Kinmo.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Alright, that makes
That's
sense.
what I'm saying. Like Kinmo was there to like be the fanboy about the origins at first, and then he literally got sent away because the Haishin unit.
Yo, those random commanders were better than Kinmo. Kinmo was like, yo, this is so fucking amazing. Like, what is this? And those guys were like straight faced. They were like, this is the most obvious thing in the world.
Yeah, this commanders. Like Riboku's always heat from.
Easily.
But
The
let's
way they
get-
countered that snake formation was fucking fresh too.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm not shitting on the origins, but y'all act like there's nothing that can beat it when a dude literally beat it in 5.5
Well,
seconds.
But what Olsen does is
Well, the
different
reason
than
I hype it so
every
much
other
is
character,
because,
you know, like, you know,
like, let's say we all agree Denrimi is at least 4 Heavenly King level, which we all do, I'm pretty sure. The Earl, he was, yeah, I think he's above him too. He was pretty much mid-diffing Denrimi before Osen stepped in. Like, Denrimi was completely helpless to stop, and Denrimi himself said they had a tactic to guarantee dominance.
But that's the point, though. But that was the whole point of like why Osen didn't go first. That was like not only.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like it's so powerful that the Earls they can mid-diff 4 Heavenly King level like generals. Like that's crazy powerful.
Yeah, it's crazy powerful, but like it can be beaten.
That's true.
We've seen it be beaten quickly. It like honestly, if they like these are the same niggas was using Origin, how the hell was the Haishin unit able to get so far through? Like the entire right flank should know Origins, but like a couple of people like Koga was like, yo, they move weirdly, but they were still making headway with no real trouble. And at
Well,
that moment in time,
he was saying they moved weirdly when they were fighting Kinmo's army.
I don't know how.
right, and Kinmo's men were reinforced with Origin troops. That's
Yeah.
literally what he said. We were reinforced with Riboku's personal troops. And then when they got to Riboku's right wing, they didn't have that much of a problem.
Well, at that point they hunkered down and like just went full defense.
That's
Did
even
they?
worse because that's the defense that was beating everybody, right? That was beating
Yeah.
4 Heavenly King shit. So if the Haishin unit fresh off of and mad hungry and tearing shit up, yo, that's crazy. That's really crazy.
Well, the thing is that was just Denrimi's opening gauntlet. But like before Denrimi like even like went all out, then
The Haishin
Riboku
unit
changed
didn't need an
strategies.
opening gambit because these motherfuckers Nigga, Koga is nowhere near the top of the Haishin unit hierarchy.
Maybe
And
Shin was using instincts in it to lead the way in it.
Shin wasn't even at the lead because Shin and Kyokai didn't start fighting until Hoken got there. Remember, they were taking it easy because of their injuries.
Oh shit, yeah, you're right.
Well, they were
So
still
it
like
was really-
fighting. It's not like they weren't
were
fighting at all.
but
They weren't
they
leading.
weren't like leading.
Yeah.
That's when like was it my boy Ensign started taking over. It's like, all right, y'all done enough. Let me talk some shit, boost everybody's morale. You know what I'm saying? Like the High Shin unit themselves were turning up on Goku's army. So this
Then we
origin
could
shit
argue
did-
then I guess
like,
the O's are the only guys that do have the O's troops are the only ones with origins then. Because when
Why
Fu-
would Raboku's personal
I don't know.
army not know the fucking Nah, that don't make no sense.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know
That
how
don't make no sense. The High
I'm
Shin
admitting
unit
it.
broke through that shit on some morale shit, and it didn't matter. So that leads me to believe that all you need is someone at the helm with enough strategic insight to know that you're using instinctual tactics, which I know makes no sense, but that's kind of like how they explained it, or somebody with like mobile level strength. Because if mobile was there, he's fucking them niggas up. Understand that.
Yeah, of course. But then Shiryu and Soo were also fucking crazy powerful, and then they got their shit
but
stopped.
I don't think they're as strong as Shin. I don't. I think they're powerful.
together-
For sure, but then Shin wasn't even fighting at that point. Like he wasn't like going
Right.
crazy.
Oh, yeah, that's true too. Look, I don't know what it is, man. The flank was the flank, but
It was a pincer also at the same time.
But you telling me that no one on the right side of the whole fucking army knows how to use the main tactic that the army is using?
But the
That
left
doesn't
side,
make
the
sense.
left, the left side
Well,
was a bit
one
weak
thing
because
about the
of
Soo and
Owen.
Shiryu moment is they had like a bunch of shield troops to stop their advance. Was there like a bunch of shield troops against Haishin unit?
There was everything against the high shit.
I'm not sure, but they
I don't think they had like specific formations ready to counter them. They just went for like a general defense strategy.
Bro, they sent the Kenmo army to stall them. So in that time, they should have gotten into formation. If you didn't, that's on your ass. That you know what I'm saying? I can't. Again, I'm not giving them slack for being negligent.
Well,
Like,
do
you
they even
said,
have the shield troops to do that at that point?
Yo, it don't matter. Niggas got bodied. The Origin army got bodied by the Hashin unit. Understand that. And if it wasn't for Hoken coming through with the King's Hockey Scream, they would have continued to get bodied. Because that's the only thing that stopped them. That nigga screamed and all their horses froze.
Yeah, true. But maybe it's because the left side.
Raboku
Nigga,
shit ain't
wait,
that
man.
impressive.
Where the
That's
left side was Raboku, they diverted more attention to the Olsen army. So when the Hishina flanked, the left side was much weaker than it would naturally be. So which allowed the Hishina to push through in it on their high morale.
Yeah, their
I
morale
don't
was
know.
pretty crazy at that point.
Origins was on and
I
off,
mean,
man.
their morale was crazy, but you got to remember that Kane requested that them niggas requested help for Sosui, and Kane said, we not getting no help. The reserves went to the left to the High Shinyu. And that was after they beat Kenmo in them. So if you sent reserves, why are the reserves not using the legendary origin technique? Like again, it was hype for them 2 chapters. It wasn't all.
Well, I don't
It
think
didn't
Kane
last.
and Fute's troops, for example, I don't think they're trained to do
I think
origins.
they have it.
Why? No, but bro, you've been
Makes
arguing
sense.
this whole time that Fute is on a high
That's
tier
true.
and that he's on a level and a pedestal because he's being taught by Raboku.
Yeah.
So why
But no, Riboku tactics and origins aren't the same thing. If I thought Fute could use origins, I'd have him even higher, my nigga. Don't get it twisted. I'd have him even higher, boy.
God.
I'm just talking about like general Riboku tactics, like shit like that Bananji would also be able to use. Shit that Sun Shuju would be able to
I'm
use.
just saying. And no, but that's the thing. I'm giving him the fact that he probably could use origins because the fact that he said like he knew.
Then why sleep on him?
Because he's still trash as a character.
As a character, sure.
Be smart. You can be smart and still be trash.
I'm just talking about ability wise. If he has origins, he's OP.
If he has origins but he's still trash, then he's still trash. Like for instance, he has origins, right? But he damn, what was I about to say?
Oh, he's on the same level as Oshi, you know. Damn.
Like that's wild. He has origins, but he didn't like his unit didn't do it. Like they I mean, aside from the with the attacking him, because Denrimi and Soo didn't view him as a threat. Because Don there and Naji on
You're cutting like in and out.
Say that again.
I said you were cutting in and out. You seem good now, though.
What I'm saying is like because Donza was so stupid and he didn't do anything to like the Benanji army, sent like some basic scouts. Like no, he didn't even send scouts. So you know what I'm saying? Like because Donza was so negligent and he didn't block off the Benanji army like he was supposed to. That's the only reason why Fute's pincer even worked.
But it's not like he
You
had
know
no
what I'm saying?
reason to
Like,
think he shouldn't have to send scouts. I do agree that he should have sent scouts, or like at the very least he should have sent a smoke signal. But in
bro,
his
he
mind,
chased them. He should have followed them. Fuck,
well,
nigga.
no, the
I
thing
was
is, if he
driving.
follows them, he would have gone out of formation, so it could have just been a bait for the Benanji army to be able to break through them.
How, bro? You see the bulk of no, I'm saying he literally watched their army go up up the forest path. You know what I'm saying? And instead of like sending niggas behind them, he sent niggas up the forest path and they didn't know like they got caught.
Okay, no, I'm not talking about like just sending scouts. I mean like if you're sending your whole army to chase them, so you can like block their path or something.
I'm saying you do both. I'm saying you send scouts through the forest, but you also send a unit to chase them from behind to see what they're doing.
Yeah, a unit for sure, but they can't like block their path at that point because they're already too late. And if they like send their whole army, for example, they run the risk of not being in formations, and then it could just be a bait, and then they get their shit destroyed pretty much.
Fine.
I mean,
Okay,
their
cool.
reasoning
But
was
then you
that
send the
they
unit.
thought if Bonanji went through the woods, there's no way he would get to Osen in time. So it's like a fool's gambit, pretty much. Like he would just get there way too late. The battle would be over by then because they didn't know about the Xiongnu troops. I mean, the Xiongnu horses, that
And
type of shit.
I said it for Zal. I'm gonna say it for Quinn. Niggas is arrogant and got caught slipping. Niggas need to stop assuming a bunch of shit. Niggas is facing niggas that you know what I'm saying. You gotta put respect on everybody's name. You facing a nigga that killed Oki. You know what I'm saying? So
But they fell for the same shit Oki fell for, though.
That's my point. That's exactly my point. They fell for the same. Oh, Roboku horses are special and they're able to do certain shit that other horses ain't. My nigga, once you get that information, these are special cavalry from the north. Nigga, expect anything. Expect anything horseman shit, nigga. This is Zal. They're already known for having the best horsemen and the best cavalry. So why are you limited or putting limits on what their cavalry can do?
Because just knowing they have special horses doesn't like automatically translate to they're this much better. They can do these crazy things.
Alright, cool.
But I do agree with you that they should be able to take into account and like consider it a possibility. But this is someone like
not even
Danza.
that. Like, okay, cool. You send the scout after them, right? The scout sees that they're taking their whole army up. Nigga, we turn around and we help the High Shin unit take out their fucking Roboku HQ. If the rest of Akko's men turned around and backed up the High Shin unit, even with Hoken, right? Because I don't think the fucking Akko men would have just stood there to watch Shin duel. That's a High Shin unit. You know what I'm saying? So even with Hoken being there, with the full force of the Akko army going at Roboku's HQ, nah, Roboku's not chilling. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
that
saying?
I agree with for sure. I don't know why the fuck they just stood there and didn't help him at least.
They just stood there and just watched niggas like, yeah, we're gonna stand here and man our post. That's what we was told to do. Nigga, think proactively. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is what makes the High Shin unit and like the younger trio so special. Is that these niggas think on the fly. Like, you see what he did. He should have took more men, but you see what Uhon did. He was like, oh nah, they going that way. Nah, we going that way with. You know what I'm saying? It's little shit like that that makes them better than the basic generals.
Yeah, Ohon didn't make a difference there though. Actually, yeah.
Hey, at least he tried.
He tried, right? He tried.
What did Olsen's right though, innit? Olsen and Futo are both right. Like, come on.
I mean, he popped Fute's dumbass, nigga.
Yeah.
Fute wasn't there. Olsen would have done the same thing, innit? Like,
Yeah. Osen probably would have killed him because Osen
not
was
killed
fresh,
him. Would have hit
nah,
him.
Osen was fresh. Osen would have killed him. Killed with
I
3
don't know.
L's.
I know Olsen's up there in strength, I think, but I don't think he'll kill him in one shot.
He would have pulled the Gaimo and just sent Fute's ass flying.
He would have bodied that young boy. But Uhong showed up and he popped him one time for the one time, said back and touching my dad. And then Moten came through and then that was that. Fute had no relevance because Fute wasn't doing shit after.
Yeah, you know it'd be the funniest Fute death scene if like he's getting cleaved in half and like as he's getting cleaved in half he's just like Riboku-sa and then he just dies.
Nah, you know I was about to say if 10 were to kill him, or 10 were to lead the charge or call the attack that led to Fute's death.
You really trying to disgrace him, huh?
Yeah.
Jesus.
He's
Because
not
he
there
thinks he's on
anytime
he
soon.
thinks he's on Shin's level, and he's really not.
And rightfully so, innit? Bro,
He's
you
not on
know,
Shin's level.
he's
He
not
has,
in it. I'll give him that.
he has no weight. I guarantee you, he has no weight. The only time he fought Shin, Shin said, "Nigga, your attacks are light than a feather," and he's talking shit
Relax.
about.
He
Well, that's because
Kyokai
he
like
just
high
doesn't have like too much brute strength.
No. I'm talking
Neither
about
does
general
Kyokai,
strength.
but
No, but
he
neither
has
does
speed.
fucking what was it, Kesha? But Shin still acknowledged that Kesha had a weight and had ambition. This nigga
He's
just
just
talks
so
a good
close to
game.
three great heavens, though. Like he's one.
I mean,
step
at that
over.
point, I would say Keisha's brute strength is above Fute's at Coalition arc.
No, I'm talking about at the Kokyo Hills when Kesha.
Yeah,
Kesha was
I'm comparing
fighting-
Kokyo Hills Kesha to Fute
Yeah,
at
but
Coalition.
even then, Fute brute strength ain't his main thing, and it's more speed. But maybe he's grown in it since then. Well, I think next
I'm not
time we
saying,
see
but
him, he's
weight.
gonna
But what I'm
level
saying
up
is,
like
weight
that.
isn't all about brute strength. Kesha wasn't all brute strength, but he still had weight, and his
Yeah.
weight was still
But-
something that Shin complimented. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but
When he
Kesha was a
fought
pretty
Fute,
good in
when
general.
he literally when he fought Fute, he said, "Boy, you weak than a light, you light than a feather, boy." Rinko was 1,000 times heavy, like blows were 1,000 times.
Well,
heavy.
he said something like your blows aren't that strong. You're mostly just speed.
Yeah, right, exactly. See, he has no weight. He's just nigga. He's not.
But
Fute's not
that's
nothing.
natural though. At that level, you're saying it's only. I don't
No,
know how
because
much money he has. Maybe a few
Shin's
K,
weight.
1K.
Shin had weight. Nigga, Rinko acknowledged that Shin's aura and that Shin's fucking like his presence was that not of a general, but his aura and weight was different than all the 1,000-man commanders that he had killed
Yeah,
up to
true,
that point.
man.
So nah, we not we not giving niggas passes for an episode.
True.
Shin's
Bro,
a dumbass and he needs to work on that.
I'll give you Fute ain't nothing right now, but he's gonna level up in 2-3 years. Next arc we see him, bro, he's gonna come back like Luffy
That's what I'm
after when he
saying.
came back
Zao
from
don't have that long.
that little
dog.
training thing.
Zao is over with. Zao don't have 2-3 years.
Well, we got a couple arcs, man. At least like
We got two
we
arcs.
got
We got
we got
another
a
arc.
Kanki weakness arc that Kanki and Roboka have to face off somehow. Like just for Kanki to beat that weakness, and then
Okay, so yeah, what Shin
Honestly-
said is he's not that strong, but he's so freaking fast that I can't catch him at all.
see.
So it's kind of ambiguous there if he means weight or brute strength or a mix of both.
I always, for people that claim that they be, you know what I'm saying, like if you're aspiring to be a 3 great heaven, like yeah, it's always both. You need the weight and the fucking brute strength in order to attain that type. And Fute is not gonna get that before Zao is destroyed.
Actually, he
Not
might
with-
get after
not-
this
it's
arc.
like-
Like he might
And
just
that's the thing, though.
know
Like, I don't think, like, it's
level
not that I don't think that Fute has the potential necessarily. It's just that he doesn't have the time. Zhao is done within like the next 3 years, Kingdom years. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Maybe four.
he just-
Maybe four.
Okay, maybe
Show
4.
said 3 though, so
You
but that
really
nigga always
expect this
wrong.
man? You really expect this man to jump from? Let's just say he's a 5,000 man commander like Shinnon, right? You expected him to jump from 5,000 man commander. Okay, so general after this war, right? Because they lost a couple generals. They need people to lead. So he's a general after this war. And then within the next 3 to 4 years, he's gonna jump from general to great
Actually,
general.
yeah. Think about
That's-
this though.
I mean, I think the Monster Trio in like 1 year can jump to Great General, possibly, maybe 2.
Imagine after this war, yeah.
Bro, do you understand how
Roboku-
long niggas like? Okay, if niggas like Shin and them get bumped to Great General, you know what type of slap in the face that is to niggas like fucking Conky and Osen and Toe and all these other like mobile with generals for years before they became great generals? Like, my nigga, what?
I understand that, but like, if they have a 15-year time limit, like, how long is it gonna be until the 6G system is reenacted? Because they have to at least be GGs, right, to be considered. Is the 6G system gonna be like reenacted like when unification is almost over? Like, I doubt it.
Maybe after Zao falls probably, and then all the M3's names are up there as great generals.
I mean, honestly, yeah, because
That
once
makes sense.
Zao falls, their biggest issue was Roboku. They could just start handing troops over willy-nilly.
yeah,
I don't know,
literally.
my nigga. Like
But think about this
it
after
just,
this war
it
though.
just sounds crazy,
Roboku
though, bro.
knows that Zao's gonna have to level up if they want to actually defeat Kin, because Kin are gonna aim to wipe them off on the next time they fight.
Yo, Riboku's only gonna have Kantan. He's like, we got this, guys. They stand 0 chance.
Yo,
Goat mentality, fam. But he's gonna tell
First of all,
Fute and everyone, yo, we need to step our game up.
And like all the men behind him are like, facts, facts.
that's if he lives, my nigga. Like the king told him, lose Gyo, you lose your head and all your people.
Ain't no bro. You think Bananji? If he says that next time Bananji's there, you think the king's guards are gonna do anything to him? Like
Yo,
Bananji
not
just
for
wiped the
nothing.
floor
Like,
with them.
what? So what? Somebody kills the king?
No, they don't have
Riboku
to
should
kill
have been killed the
Could
king, bro.
rebel, and then somehow
No, but I'm
Too much of a
saying,
nice guy.
prince comes in.
So what?
But-
What do you? So what? You think the king is just gonna let him off? Like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, you
the king
lost
will let him
Gyo.
off.
You
'Cause-
lost Gyo, so let's not worry.
I
About
mean,
it.
I know it's the king personally saying it this time, but during Coalition, Riboku thought he would lose his head for failing, and then he just got sent to like the farmlands or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, true, but like, cause like he thought he would die, cause that's par for the course. Nigga, you fail at this big of a
Yeah,
task, nigga.
and he accepted
die.
it because Zhao wouldn't fall after that. But this one, like, he's not really gonna accept. I think.
That's the thing, like, that's one of the things I'm worried about, because logically, Riboku should die from what we know, but I think everyone knows he isn't, and I'm like, if that's the case, then you shouldn't, like, do it last second where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna kill you. Like, it should have been built up more. So, like, the longer this arc went on, I'm like, are we ever gonna cut back to fucking Kanton and, like, get some implication that the
But
king's
it's
not
that
actually
late.
gonna kill him? Like, don't save it for last second, Hara.
Could blame on Hoken and what's it called? The
Yeah,
guy
it doesn't
that-
matter who he
Wow,
blames.
Yo,
But that's. But
That-
nah,
that
but see,
is
that's the
wrong,
thing
though.
though. That's gonna be the second time that Riboku quote unquote blamed the loss on Hogan.
well, he's never blamed the loss on Hoken.
I mean, they kind of blame Sai on Hoken. Because if you go back and read, they don't state that Riboku lost that side. They state that Riboku. I mean,
Oh.
they state that Hoken lost that side.
No, but that was what it was written in history, that there was only that one line that Hoken got repelled, but that's not.
Right, but I'm
he
just
didn't
saying,
blame
like,
it in the
that-
manga or anything, in the verse.
I mean, does Hoken even talk to the king? Like,
Nah, Hoken's his own man. Like he
That's
only
what I'm
talks to
saying, like-
Riboku. That's about it. But like, the blame
So-
could be shifted. Like the politicians and that, innit? They could just say it was Hoken, because they will understand that we actually can't kill this guy. You know, but they took Gil. Be a desperate. It's gonna be a desperate time soon, so they could just force the king to not kill him. But I don't really know.
listen, one of them gotta die. Either the king or Riboku. No
Yeah,
bullshit. Like, one of them.
they need Kantan's forces. Like someone needs to go.
Facts, because what's his name? The son. The son has to take over.
Yeah,
If the son gives Riboku the 100K, and you know what I'm saying, Riboku gets a nice spot to like a new spot to hunker down. He
Mm.
might be able to hold out for a couple years. That will give Fute a chance to become a great heaven. But like, niggas,
Y'all want to hear some history spoilers right now?
I don't mind. Well,
Alright, so apparently Tojo in history dies during this war, so it's a chance that as Riboku's coming back, he literally succumbs to his sickness and then just dies. And that's what saves
no
him.
bullshit.
Sweet, man.
Nah, no bullshit.
No bullshit.
That's an actual historical fact.
Yeah, you can look it up. Pretty
Yo,
sure.
bro.
That's
Okay.
luck.
I was just about to say that shit. Depending on how they write that shit, is gonna be. I'm like, oh, so the nigga that was gonna kill you, he's dead, and the son that you want to take over, he's king now. Nigga, oh, yo, that was the silver lining you needed, bro.
And see, that's why I wish there was more implications, like in the middle of the arc. Like, I'm like, don't save it for last second, because if he randomly just dies, like, you could have just had like a scene in the middle of the arc where like something about his sickness is like acting up or something. I don't know.
Mm. But if that happened, if he did die, they could have just Riboku could have somehow gotten the 100K truth. Which would have
Yeah, if that happens, I hope Riboku's like, as I predicted, just to piss Tole off.
Nah, yo, I would be more accepting of, like, after that meeting that he had when he told Riboku, like, yo, lose yo and you lose your head and all your people. I would have been more accepting of like in the moments before he saw the prince, that this nigga was plotting to assassinate the king, rather than him just dying and it being like, I would love for there to have been an actual plan to kill the king.
Mhm, but I think he should have been done that though.
Guys that randomly, you know.
Oh man, like, yo, like, clap this nigga.
Like, if it was Osen, he probably would have been assassinated him. Then he would have had the extra 100K troops.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if Osu will do that. Osu will just
I'm
dip
gonna
from the
say
states, to
Osen's
be
not
honest.
like Osen's not clapping Issa. Osen's not betraying Issa. I don't know.
Well,
why people have-
say isn't Tojo.
Yeah, nah, say he's not a fuck boy. It's that man,
Nah.
yo.
Oh,
He's a pedophile and a creep at this. Like
if
that's
Ken
just
does have a smooth run though for like until like they fight Tune at the end, it would be dope in it if Austin becomes a final villain. Like just have a mad arc there. But at that point,
That would be
what's the point of
awesome.
him even betraying them? He also could just get so many vassals along the way that we just see these great guys going level and shit. Not Gyon himself, but from the other states, guys that just collects them and final boom boom.
I
That would
think the
be
best final villain would be Olsen, but I
yeah.
don't see it happening, sadly.
That'll push everyone past their limits. Like I know everything
Man,
about you, what you gonna do, all of that Eisen type shit. Nah, that's mad.
For real.
the
It would
best
be so
final
goat.
villain will be what was
What Rampa, Cohen?
Cohen. Yeah, there we go. The Tiger of Chu. I want to see what that man.
Yeah, we're probably gonna see him after this arc, and we definitely have to see how he looks.
I hope Chu gets angry and attacks, like I said.
Why though? Like that would be so foolish.
No,
Like
it makes sense.
Kari, no, because Kari
'Cause
herself
Kin-
said we would only attack after Kin lost and after fucking Wei attacked first.
No,
So the
that's
fact that
'cause-
Kin won, Wei is not attacking, and since Wei is not
Yeah,
attacking,
but
why
Wei's
would
weak,
Chu
innit?
attack?
Yeah, because
that's
they
the
they had the
thing.
luxury at that point to attack in such a advantageous point. Like they could just take a bunch of Kin's land. They were thinking like, okay, Kin's for sure dead. We just want to
Yeah.
take as much land as possible. But at this point, they're like, okay, if Kin's pulling all these miracles, then they might actually be able to unify. We can't let them like ride on their momentum and keep taking states and keep gaining power. Like we have to stop them.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
'cause-
that would require a unified fucking Chu. And what the only thing that we do know is that Chu is so big that them niggas ain't really together like that.
no,
Yeah, but that's a
already
plot
in
point you
the
could
first
easily
one.
fix up. You could easily just say, okay, they solved their issues.
Yeah, and with Karen at the top and the other guy, Karen could be, and since they're a team, Karen could easily be doing all the military shit while this guy unifies the political
he is.
shit. So it's pretty.
No,
they
it's
could
not
attack
even about-
everyone like, if they wanted to.
No, I'm just saying like they don't have full control of their land. Is what I'm saying. It's like they themselves don't like. How is
Yeah.
it explained?
But
that
like,
they
you know,
they have so much
all the
land
other
that they
states wouldn't
don't know
attack
how
them
to
though.
harness their like,
It was like political struggles.
No,
It was
but even
because of-
before that, because they was asking like if Chu is such a big. Because I remember the Haishin unit was asking like if Chu is such a big super state, why is it that they don't just go around attacking everybody? And Ten was like, it's because of how big they are, they don't properly like know how to manage it. Like
Yeah,
the
it's a
people
lot
that
to
are
manage.
in control don't know how to properly manage it to actually do what you're talking about. I
Yeah,
mean, like
but
her
Karen there though,
personal
shit changed
people
though.
can do,
Did they say
but,
that?
like
Like this woman had like 200.
it was around the time when they were at the border when like
Yeah, I know.
Yapiosaur kid.
Yeah. But I don't know. I wouldn't mind that, Mo and who I don't know which other M3. Maybe just
Mobile
Momo and
Moten?
Shin, fam.
Because Ohan's, like I said, already got a lot of shine with the Fire Dragons, and then he had a big role in this arc.
I
True.
can see like what was
Moten,
the
Mobu, Moki, and Shin would be dope.
yeah, what was the dude's name from what was the poison guy state? What was his what was he
Oh,
from?
Han?
Han, yeah, I can see like the three of them taking out Han. It
Oh,
being the
later on
weakest
down the
state.
line?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they just gonna like the
definitely.
three of them team up together and just body the whole state because like it's the
Yeah.
weakest
They'll start
state.
racing each other. Like, who's gonna? That'll be fun,
It's like yo, the first one to the capital wins, and these niggas
Boom.
just like.
That
I
would-
wonder if Han will have any beasts.
I doubt it, just because
Maybe
they
Fute,
labeled as
innit?
the
Maybe
weakest.
Fute, fam.
They're gonna get
After's
Fute.
out.
I mean, I think they will just because Hara likes to keep tension.
That would be funny though if Fute becomes a great general of Han, and he's like,
Yeah.
"I'm the Han Heaven." Like, nigga, no, we don't
Bro,
name
this
our general.
guy is definitely.
No one
banned.
calls him that either. You just made the title up.
Yeah, right. Just, I'm
No,
the
I
Han
see that
Heaven.
as more believable. But
It's
fam, I
bad
don't think
funny.
Rebuke would allow Kane or Fute to die. Like even when he knows that, because he'll know that he'll know before Zao actually feels that yo, we're gonna lose right now, and like him and Oscar just knows it's over.
Not for nothing. I can see Kane going to the Haishin unit, kind of
Nah,
like
nah,
I could see that too, to be honest.
that's
Because
cringe.
she offered 10.
That's cringe, he
Like,
said.
She offered 10.
Fuck that.
Now it is cringy. I'm not gonna hold you, but just like how she offered Ten the spot. If you ever lose your home, come seek me out. Like I think Ten
Yeah.
would offer her the same position.
Oh,
Like
true.
yo, like Zhao is done, but like here in Quinn, you won't be like come with us, my nigga. Like, I mean, I would much rather her be like another like deputy under Shin than Heki. But I
But
do
she's
see,
gonna
I do
hate
see
Shin
that.
for a while, I guess, and then she'll finally respect. This nigga was aiming for
Not
Roboku's head, fam, for
listen.
years.
It
Like, come on.
it depends. It depends on who actually kills Roboku.
Yeah, like if Shin kills him, 100% no.
Yeah, like yeah. If Shin claps him, then like nah.
But
if Roboku was killed by like somebody from Zao, like say like the king does die from his sickness, but like he finds out that Yo was lost and like his last decree is like yo execute Roboku, right? And Roboku like does get killed by his king. I can see her going to the Haishin unit then, because like it wouldn't have been Quinn that took Roboku from her. You know what I'm saying? It would have been her own state.
Oh, I could see
Yeah, I
her
agree.
going there and Fute going Chu. I would prefer them both to go to Chu, man. Like I was expecting like Roboku to send them to
if you,
like three great heavens.
I mean, if you
who
want
look
to
after
keep them
him.
as antagonists, but do you really see them really being antagonists for that much? Like Fute, yeah.
Fute,
But
yeah,
Kane,
Kane.
she got a relationship with Ten.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much point with her. She's not going to be anything special down the road either.
You never know, man. She could teach the Hishuna origins, innit?
I mean, I
God.
guess.
Wait, has she ever fought Shin? Like, have they ever actually got?
Yeah, she attacked him once when Shin was spying on Roboku.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And she kind of like overpowered him a bit too.
Yeah.
He got pushed back like a bit. Like her strength was something that was commendable.
Yeah, but he did get
Alright.
caught slipping though, so it wasn't really.
And that was a young 1,000-man Shin. So
Come on, young Shin, really? Like,
I mean,
she's
no,
young as
1,000-man
well.
Shin. I don't know. I'm just saying, but like Shin has grown and gained a lot since being a 1,000-man commander. So like the power gap has widened considerably.
Yeah, definitely.
Shit, the power gap from the beginning of the coalition to Psy was considerable.
Yeah, where is she on this list from? I don't see.
Who?
She's probably not even on the list, Kane.
Kane.
Oh, Kane? Yeah, she's not on the list.
This guy.
Disrespectful.
That's not even to say she's not like even Hecate tier. I just forgot to put her.
Nah, but I was just about to say you got Heki bitch ass, but you don't got Kane.
A
She
lie.
at least got feats. She at least took out a tag team high-low city with
Plus
her cavalry. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like.
And her unit was fighting the Heishin unit without her even there. Like, her unit's pretty dope. Should be like next to 10 low mid.
Do you guys want to end it now? Because I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah.
Oh, we were still streaming? I thought we was been done.
Nope.
Oh,
Getting
shit.
all the content, baby. As Steve would say.
Alright, well, yeah, we can end it now.
Yeah. When are you gonna do the tier list?
Anytime, really. I kind of want Toilet to be part of the series, so I guess it just depends on when he's available.
See, that's the thing, though. Because of my work schedule, I literally pick 2 days where I have off. So you just gotta let me know at the beginning of the week.
Oh yeah, dope then. Yeah, we can easily do that.
Thursday off, and then I won't. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever day, you just let me know like the week in advance, so I can plan out my work schedule, and then I won't have to go to work.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, because like you know what I'm saying, before you texted me today, I was literally getting dressed to go to work, and then you was like 5 p.m. good, and I was like, fuck it, I ain't going to work today.
That's some real shit, bro. I appreciate that.
Nah, yeah, because I was tired. And I don't know how about like where y'all at, but like New York is on the verge of shutting down, so it's annoying.
Yeah,
My
it's
job
just
was
pretty
just-
bad here too. I imagine it's like around the same everywhere.
Yeah. Everything's pretty much closing here.
That's what I'm saying.